What up? Episode number 1, Stonie's Buds. So stoked, man, to have this day finally come to pass. It's been way too long, and I apologize for the amount of time that's gone by. I had to handle a little bit of lawyer business, and all that is behind me now. It's done with, and all I need to look forward to is talking to you guys every week and getting this show going. And it's gonna be a journey, man. I got the air horn. That's what I'm talking about. I got sound effects in front of me. Excited to see who comes through the booth and who we get to talk to, man. There's gonna be some awesome conversations. Heavy thank you to Eric from FNRad podcast for making the journey all the way from Canada to sit down and talk with me. That's really cool. Trent Bush for getting a GoFundMe together, and all the people that supported it to help me get the studio off the ground. It's I don't think I would have been able to do it for like another year because I've been basically out of work for 6 months, man. It would have been tough, dude. It would have been a tough spot for me. So the support and the love that I felt from you guys, the DM messages, it's been incredible. And I just can't wait to see what we get going on. And let's get into it. Episode 1, Stonie's Buds. Let's go.
Let's roll. Let's roll.
Do this.
What do you got to say up front?
This is what's up. Welcome to the Stonie's Bud Show. I am so stoked to be here, man. I'm stoked that you came out as well.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking on the phone. Everything went down at the bomb hole, and I don't even know you just reached out to me.
Well, I had my own, I made up this story in my head.
Yeah,
and I
what was
you
going on?
And kind of just reconfirmed what I thought I knew.
Yeah. But you reached out, and it was cool. We just kept talking.
Yeah.
And, we're going to get into this story about the bomb hole and the future. But right now, let's talk about this show and its equipment, because I'm in a phase where I probably would have been, I don't know, I might have had to put the show off until next season. You can't just start a show in the middle of winter.
Sure.
You can, I guess, but it would just be rough goes. But, a lot of people were reaching out to me. They missed hearing this gravelly voice. I quit smoking cigarettes, so one of my voices is going to get all rubbery.
Dude, you sound way better.
Does it sound better?
Oh, my God. There were times in the late bomb
where I might
hole
fall
days
over?
where I was, worried for you. Like, you could
hear you. Dude.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, I was smoking cigs, dude.
Yeah.
I quit for 10 years once.
Wow.
And I went on a trip to Japan.
Yeah.
And let this be a lesson for anyone who's quit smoking out there. You can't just go back and I can have a couple, dude. It's cool. Because I went to Japan, and at the time in Japan, people are smoking in hotels. They're smoking at dinner.
Fuck yeah.
They're right up. They're basically smoking in the shower with you when you're taking a shower. I mean, the people are smoking. And I'm like, dude, I might as well just have a cigarette. Jesus, I'm smoking them anyways.
Yeah.
Bam, I went in deeper and harder than I had ever smoked. And then here I am. I've been quit now for a couple months. And, dude, it's just, you still Jones, but wow, I'm sleeping better.
Yeah.
I had this thing where I don't know if anyone's a smoker out there, they probably experienced this. Dude, you all of a sudden wake up in the night and you've been sleeping weird.
Yep.
And you can't breathe.
Right.
And I thought to myself, dude, what's going to happen when I'm and I guess I'm getting older, so I'm thinking this way, 75 years old or something, and I have to have freaking a tank of air next to me or something.
I think it's 8 years. Your lungs go pink again, right?
Dude.
So you'll be good.
You know what the bummer for me was? So I started smoking. I was on a trip with T-Bird and Bridges, and then all of a sudden T-Bird quit smoking, and I only started smoking because you were smoking. He quit, and then the icing on the cake, dude. Pat Bridges quitting smoking.
Yeah.
And telling me how great he feels, and
right.
oh, you're still smoking. And
right.
The day that Pat Bridges quit smoking, that's hell freezing over. Everyone should quit, the whole fucking planet. Anyways, so you might notice this equipment, right?
Yeah.
I was, we'll get into the separation and the bomb hole, and
yeah.
But I'm still at a period where I wouldn't financially be able to get this equipment, but I know I wanted to keep talking. I had people hit me up on social media, like missing me. And by the way, dude, the love from everyone was such a special thing. Like, it was incredible. Something I never expected. I would just get DMs that said, "I love you," from grown men.
That's fucking
like
great.
straight up. The only thing they said is, "I love you."
That
was
sick.
the shit. And then other ones just saying, "I'm missing you. I hope you're okay." Like, whatever's going on, like, it was incredible. And I guess maybe, my good friend Trent Bush, saw everything that was going on, and he was like, "You know what? People want to get you back on the air. I'm gonna do a GoFundMe."
Yeah.
And he was like, is that okay? Like, I kind of did it all up. And
I was talking with him at that
Yeah.
time because, like, for the first few days, it didn't really go anywhere because nobody was sharing it yet. Because we were
Yeah, I
kind
think
of
I didn't even
tentatively
yet.
going,
Yeah.
like, what are we?
I never
like, what are
done
we
one,
ra-
you know?
yeah.
Like, it feels,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have just done one myself. It's a weird thing,
Too
it's
weird.
like, yeah, it's like
Too weird.
It's like, what do you do? But then he did this, and it was such a special thing. And
I remember
guess-
the day that it
Yeah.
started going up. Remember,
Yeah.
it just.
So I
went
think
like,
I finally
it was going
posted
like
it.
bam. Once
Yeah.
you posted it, it was like bam, bam, bam. Like I'm looking at it, going, "There's $6,000 in the first
Yeah.
like few hours or something." It was insane.
And I apparently, like, I didn't even know this, but Trent, like, needed some work one day in between things, and I, like, without even thinking about it, he's a talented dude. Of course, you want to design some boards, you can design some boards.
Yeah.
But it was like a special thing to him that I just thought it was, like, dude, you're dope. Of course I want you to do some boards. I didn't even think it was a favor to me, not him.
Right.
And him and I have been very tight. He sponsored me, dude, when I was 18. Like,
Through.
it's funny, J2 told Justin Hostenek,
Yeah.
who was the team manager of Twist,
Yep.
he was like, "You're sponsoring Eastone."
Oh,
Not
wow.
like a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Justin finally told me this, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't a question. It was like, "You're sponsoring
You
Eastone."
ripped, man. You were a ripper.
But it was just funny that Twos implemented that. And so Trent and Troy and Justin put me on Titan, which was their, like, offshoot.
Oh, I remember Titan.
And I ended up we went to a shoot with Twos and Merriman. Rest in peace, both of you guys.
Oh, wow.
I got Twos on this mug right here, which is dope.
Yeah.
We'll talk about those at some point. But I ended up getting the cover of the Titan catalog, which is cool that Justin shot. Not even action, just catching a pigeon. Or not pigeon. A backcountry pigeon. Do those exist?
What the fuck is
No,
that?
it was just a freaking bird. How sick would it be if there was backcountry pigeons? But it was a bird. I'm like catching. You know how they land? Just you don't even have food. They just land on your shit.
Yeah.
And they were doing that. I think we were in like Aspen or something like that, somewhere in Colorado.
Whiskey Jacks.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're not backcountry pigeons.
I wish there was
That's a
backcountry
shirt.
pigeons.
That's a
because
shirt.
I would
You and a fucking
a pigeon. Dude, backcountry pigeons, you get them flying in formation. You
Yes.
can find out what the other crews are doing. You can communicate back
Oh my
there.
god. Messenger backcountry pigeons.
That's the only way to
Unbelievable.
figure out what's going on
Unbelievable.
back there, dude. There's no cell service.
That's so good, dude. That's so good.
That's some good shit right there.
Better than an inReach. Yeah.
And so we Trent gets this thing going, man, and the people came through, dude, and it was so cool. I don't think he knew how much money I needed, so he just threw a number on there. It was like $20K, which is too much. I didn't need that much money. It was more like 10 to 15,
take
12 to
that money.
15.
I'll take that.
I mean, you need it, but like, do you need like how much? I mean, there's still stuff I need, but eventually I'll be able to get there.
You got everything you need here. You got 3 cameras
Yeah.
set up. You got 2 lights. You got 4 mics. You got 4
Yeah.
desks. You went all out and got the right shit.
Yeah, I did a lot of
Yeah,
research,
which is good.
And I'm actually going to, and I think I mentioned I would do this. I'm going to put it all either in the Patreon or in the Discord.
Yeah.
A full list on basically a play-by-play on how you get a podcast going.
It's a great
This is the
idea.
equipment.
That's a really good idea.
Kind of a document, a little
Kind
bit of
of
video.
Ruins my business of selling people podcasts.
No, you can just take this as your sheet, dude. I'm actually gonna go sit in on it and just just record you talking, dude. I actually just put a recorder on you, and there it is.
Perfect.
No,
Wireless
but
mics. Yeah.
This is what to buy. Your
Yes.
thing is there's a lot more to it than just what to buy, because you can go look online and figure it out. But you're sitting down, you're kind of showing the rope, the step by step, and
Sure.
and that's big because
And I'm just joking around too.
yeah, but
I'm
it's
just joking around.
the people came together, and it's freaking awesome. The love I felt was huge, and And I'll tell you what, dude, you're sitting there. It's real easy day one of not being part of the bomb hole. Being, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yes.
Day 2, day 3, day 7, I'm going to do a podcast. Day 45, fuck, can I do a podcast? Like the confidence. I mean, you got to stay. You got to like push. You got to, and it's with anything, you know, like anything you're going to do.
The longer the procrastination, the bigger the push to not do it is.
Yeah,
because you haven't done it
that
for a
voice
really
in your
long
head.
time. The voice gets bigger.
Like, this is going to be harder than I thought, or do I want to do this? Or what are the other options? Like, people start hitting me up with some different things, and it's like, fuck, like, what do I do here? Can I do this? Do I want to do this? And you know what? This is what I want to do. I love it. You know?
I never had any doubt about it because the money was coming in, and you're so convincing that this is what you want to do. And I don't just
there's more than just that voice in your head.
Right.
But you shut it up and you just get back to work.
The convincing thing wasn't just what you were saying to me while we were talking. It was, I've seen you on the mic.
Yeah.
And when you're on the mic, you're meant to be there.
Yes, I love it. You know, it's something I really enjoy.
You're the first podcast guy to have a catchphrase. Very first snowboard podcast guy to have a catchphrase.
Which is exciting.
Right?
And people probably, I don't know, cue it up.
Cue it up. How you doing?
So good, my dog. And I don't even know how that, Chris is always asking me how I'm doing. And I would just be like, good. I don't even know what episode that started. I'm going to figure that out. I have to go back and look.
Yeah.
But, one day it just came, and I don't know. I just then bam again.
It made it to Canada. Yeah. It made it to Canada. Like my friend was saying it to me a lot at my local mountain. Like just like he's like, I like podcasts, you know. Yeah. And he would say it.
And I don't think I even aimed to do it. It just kind of happened.
No,
which is funny.
You guys didn't sit down and say, okay, let's start a podcast. Yeah.
And we were boneheads, dude.
A few months in, let's get some sniffing salts, and then you get your catchphrase. Yeah. Like that's
it's all
how
dumb
this went
luck.
Down. Right.
But the cool thing on this and something else that kept me going was that support, you know?
Yeah.
And then especially a couple of the big dog supporters that come through with so much love. It's like a sponsor, dude, and it's huge, man. And that kind of love like really pushes you to be like, all right, I'm doing this. And, I'm going to get everyone's names that submitted and lower levels, high levels, maybe put a little more space to the big dogs and somewhere in here, maybe up in that space up there. And I'll make sure there's photos of it. But like,
that's a great
I want
idea.
them each to maybe they can do a little bit of art.
Yeah.
I was actually doing some community service work for the food bank for the homeless.
Rad.
Which just feels good. You go and do that stuff. It's fun.
It's a shortcut to feeling good.
Yeah. And I saw that there. I'm actually going to go back down there in Salt Lake. But they had this wicked whole big wall of everyone that's donated.
That's dope.
And I think their deal was you can buy into this wall.
Yeah, of course.
And it was so cool reading. Everyone could you could either put your name or a quote.
Dope.
And me and the other people that went and did this, we just sat there and you sit there for like an hour almost, like reading them all. Some are in different languages, and some are ones you've heard, and others you haven't. And
that sounds like something
it was really
you gotta
cool.
do.
Yeah.
So you just invite the people that donated.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I heard from Trent today that Chris donated $200.
Yeah.
That's kind of sick.
He donated $200, which was rad. And we, it was at a time where we're back to, we were talking a little bit and things were smooth. I'm sure we'll get there again sometime. But it was cool that he did that. It was awesome. It was like, and he posted about it too.
Yeah, he did.
Which was cool. And
I remember that. That was a boost. That would have given a boost.
Yeah, the bomb hole people there seeing it, and that's huge, dude. That kind of stuff is dope.
The bomb hole people are your people. Like,
we built those people. Not built
together.
it, but we all formed a community together.
You certainly did. So going back to the beginning, when do you meet Chris? Your first meeting with Chris is probably snowboarding related.
Yes. It's so funny, man. I'm really trying to pinpoint that moment. Mm-hmm. And, man, it's so weird when you can't just pinpoint that exact moment.
Yeah. How many snowboarders do you think you've met in your life, though? Like
7,000.
Yeah, probably.
Many snowboarders.
That'd be so sick if you had like a ticker number going up.
Ding.
6,957. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, you meet a lot, and especially in Salt Lake.
This is a scene down here.
It's a scene, dude.
Holy
it's
shit.
crazy, man. and it's only getting bigger and bigger. And with Chris, it's like you meet someone that's a like-minded individual through music and interests, and you kind of make a connection that maybe you won't make with others. And so I think we had that. And with shooting photos, I have this awesome opportunity to be able to not only just meet somebody like Chris, but get to travel with him and really get you when you're in it. It's funny. People, myself and some others who've been there equate being out in the field shooting on a foreign country or even wherever around. Maybe not local, but it's like going to war. We think about it as in the trenches.
You're battling tricks.
Yeah, and basically it's like any time a group of people are out where they have to like persevere and do some teamwork, and maybe there's some risk of the police kicking you out. But at the end of the day,
somebody getting hurt.
Yeah, someone getting hurt. Yeah. Maybe someone does get hurt.
Yeah.
That is like war because they have that. They form a special bond.
Super bond. Yeah.
And they're going through some gnarly shit out there that is nothing. Like I can't compare it because they're on this crazy level of what they have to deal with. But we're on this little snowboard level of we have to work together. We have to persevere and that's why, like, summer camps are good for people. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like anything like that is you go to Mount Hood and all hang out together. It's like you form a bond,
in 90, dude. I went to Wendell's in 91, I think I figured
that
out.
Experience is like a bond, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, you get that on road trips. So you make a special relationship with the riders that all go and the media that goes. And it was cool. I was able to get that with Chris. And
so at some point, you guys are road tripping together.
Road dogs.
And it's starting to become like the Chris and E-Stone show, right? Like you guys are the banter,
funny.
The
We're
banter brothers.
I remember a couple particular trips because we go and maybe the trip's a little bit bigger, so you got to get 2 vans, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, who are you gonna ride with? It's easy. I'm going in a hip hop van, you know what I mean? And there's one van that's gonna be playing the music that I like.
Yeah.
That's also the one he's gonna be in.
Yeah.
And what we actually noticed too is because every now and again you might have to get in the other van.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way it worked out. And for me, I'm shooting a group of people, so maybe those guys are scoping, but I'm out with the other van. Whole different vibe in the emo van. The emotional van, dude. In the morning, it's like you don't know what to expect. It's really quiet. In the afternoon, it's like, is it going to be, if someone lands their trick, it's going to be like Mariah Carey and who knows what's going on, like show tunes and everyone's singing. But if someone doesn't land their trip, it's like head down, freaking black makeup on, and maybe there's a tear shed. And it's crazy, dude.
This is for real. I love this.
And it's for real.
It's behind the scenes.
You get into hip-hop, man?
Yeah.
It is just, let's go.
Yeah.
In the morning, let's go. In the evening, let's go.
Sick.
And the music's dope, and we're comparing notes on what do you listen to is what I'm listening to. And what's cool is, like, I could be with Chris, or I could be with, like, the young crew that's, like, 18 years old, the Dustbox Kids, or when they came out, or the young snowboarder movie crews. And all of a sudden, they're like, well, you listen to this too? And it's like all of a sudden you have this bond, or you're up on the new shit. Yeah, I'm on the shit. You're listening to this, and it's rad, and that's the van I'm in, I guess. And so Chris and I would always be in that same van.
Yeah.
And you're arguing who's gonna get the aux cord because you want to play your shit, he wants to play his shit,
Nice.
And it's fun. And then also, you get, because you're on that level that's not emo, you're like your conversation's a little different. There's a lot of joking and. Not that those guys aren't joking over there.
Sure.
After the shots got, like, it's fun, and everyone's laughing.
Everybody's having a good time.
Dude, 3 days of no shots in the emo van, it's suey watch, dude. It's crazy, man. Like, you gotta, like, I don't know, it's gnarly. You gotta be careful.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and so it's pretty rad. And so Chris and I would have that bond, and it brings us up. We're starting to joke, and trip to trip, it's like the thing we look forward to is like, I can't wait to get in the van.
Sick.
And it's cold on some of those trips. The best part of the day is getting in the van it's sometimes it's like, dude, let's scope longer. You know what I mean? Because you got to hop out, and it's gonna get a rider could get in some gnarly situation. You're gonna be moving some snow, and it's like that. You're just looking forward to that ride home. What are we gonna listen to? You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
And it's dope. And so I think we just got to bond that way.
And then I think sometime, 2-3 years before you guys actually pull the trigger on this, he's doing some projects that are kind of podcast adjacent, right? Like more like a video podcast, right? Like as opposed to like what's going on for me and my guys with the audio different thing. That's just kind of like, hey, audio.
Yours is more sophisticated audio, telling a story.
I think it's
maybe
just
the culture of the sport.
It's a little more simplistic. It's not. Simplistic, it's just not. It's not as ambitious, right?
Well, and his like inspiration might have been more, let's not say jackass, but
right.
But they had this crew. It was like Bam and his crew back in the day.
Yeah.
He had SFK, Chris did.
Yeah.
Which stupid fucking kids.
Yeah. He's sort of like Camp Kill Yourself, CKY, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
that's what it is.
And it's funny because like there was a whole crew of people before Chris that started Stupid Fucking Kids, and it was like Doman and this dude Simon, rest in peace, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's dope. But they had this crew, and eventually, like Chris became roommates with Doman, maybe, and Simon, and all of a sudden integrated, and all of a sudden, like Scotty Stevens and Chris are part of this SFK, and they made a snowboard video at one point. What sucks is I don't know if it's not on the net anywhere. Somebody has it, like. Maybe on a freaking tape or something.
Digitize it.
Yeah, it needs to be. We've tried, and I don't know. I don't even know who has it, but dude, you go over to the crib they lived at, and there is Doman's doing artwork. Simon's used to make motorcycles for everybody, and they're these custom. They would always say SFK. Granger is now a cook. He has Stupid Fucking Kitchen. Because he involved, he works at Traeger.
I love
But he used to be just part of this crew of boneheads, filming funny stuff.
That's great.
Dude, Granier might be jumping a golf cart over somebody, and like there was always this golf cart in the loop jumping off the skate ramp.
That's amazing.
There's people skating the skate ramp. It was good times.
I
think they were filming snowboard videos, so Chris is just kind of inspiration to that. He comes up with Board Size and Banter.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
That one I saw.
And it might be like a day in a life with another rider or just Chris.
Yeah. I remember that it was in its infancy. It hadn't found its format yet, but
it was a bummer. It was getting some love, but it just wasn't gonna pop off.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
Off, but it was you know what? I'm not gonna say it wasn't popping off. It was getting views.
Yeah.
It was, but it wasn't.
It's probably got more views now because you can find it at the. I don't even know this, but if you want to find it, go to the Bomb Hole, and it's linked as like a friend site or whatever. Like this is what we follow, I think. And there's not many that they follow, so it's one. And it's check out the Frank April episode because that's the one that got me stoked.
Yeah,
Frank's a little hungover, and he's so hungover that all of a sudden his English is out the window, and this guy is like. It's funny.
That's the bottle or butthole one, right? I remember that. Yeah. I remember
it's
that.
Butthole. This is my butthole. And you just don't know if it's a butthole or a bottle. And it's funny. And
That's
Frank's funny. Now this guy he's a hotelier and owns a restaurant, this dope pizza restaurant I'd love to go to. And this hotel, and he's a grown-up with kid. But on this trip, he's just snowboarder being funny. And Chris did a good job of bringing out that humor. And so I think, I think he was looking at, the snowboarders have to look at what's next.
Yes.
Where are we going? You can't snowboard forever.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to find that, what am I going to do? Because if not, it's like losing identity.
And in front of the camera,
crisis, let's say.
In front of the camera, he's coming alive.
Yeah, and he's enjoying it.
He's enjoying it. What's the first time you remember a kind of mention of like, buds, we should do this. We should do this on mic. We should let's get a kit together and put together a podcast.
I think he was maybe he was going to just do it anyway, but then he realized from us being, or I think I even said at one point I was interested in doing that as well because I had I wanted to do something with microphones because I just had an affinity or a connection because I used to like, it's stupid too, because I used to like freestyle Jamaican dancehall at parties, and what's crazy is I was good at it, dude, and like it was like a possession. Yeah. People would call it. It's like I'm channeling. If I could get drunk enough, which is a shame, I'm channeling this like spirit to the point where it's just like, what is going on?
Right.
And
right.
battling other MCs, and I had to have a crowd, and I had to have this right vibe, this right amount of alcohol, and it's like something that now I would probably pursue if I was a young kid.
Sure.
Back then, I felt like, dude, I'm a culture vulture. Like, this isn't okay. Like, my lane is snowboarding, dude. Like,
right.
How am I gonna?
So you're
I'm not
enjoying
Eminem.
it.
Like, he has this skill that is just like,
yeah.
dude, that guy can put together like lyrics like a mathematician, dude. It's crazy how he does it.
Yeah.
And there is like a mathematical science. Have you ever seen that video, dude? It's freaking incredible.
I have.
I'll cue it up as a show note link, but holy shit. Him and Biggie and certain people rhyme to a mathematical science that is just mind-blowing.
It's epic. It's absolutely epic.
So I wasn't that, and I'm not Jamaican.
And you had to be hammered. So
had to be hammered.
Yeah,
and that's and that's a skill that we have talked about this. It's like a skill where if you're playing beer pong, somehow the more drunk you get, the better you get. Yeah. And it's because, and this is like a proven fact, you can look it up. If you learn something drunk, you have that skill drunk, you lose it when you're sober. Or maybe you can do it, but you don't got it. And that's why some band people in the music world, they like, all of a sudden they quit doing drugs. And they're not the same, dude. Like, they don't sound the same. What's going on? And it's because they have to relearn that talent, and it's there, but they have to like start over almost to get that special twang they had.
That makes sense.
It's crazy. Yeah, I learned that in like a alcohol class that I was mandatory.
I was just thinking this can't be scientifically right, man, because you think you're a good driver when you're drunk, but you're weaving all over the road. Like,
and I don't even know why the guy brought it up. It's actually like in the book they gave us. It's
That's
like some weird
crazy
thing. And I don't know why they're even telling it to us, but it's usually in your head that you're doing it. But I think it's like there's a certain threshold.
I get it.
You know what I mean? You get too drunk,
you're
but you have a certain amount. It's like I think it's just saying what it does to your brain.
There's a couple of things
you know what I mean?
that doesn't work drunk. Snowboarding drunk sucks.
No,
you're
but
so
there's
bad
that dude.
at it
If you have like a beer and a half or something.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Bam, you're cruising.
Going to a movie drunk. Bad idea.
And they just fall
what
asleep.
What a bad idea.
Yeah.
You're like one eyeing at the screen and trying to drink.
Might as well go to bed.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
So at some point, Chris is like, it's time to pull the pin. What are the circumstances surrounding that shit?
So I would say for like 3 years, we would do like a trip, like international, that's like pretty serious and serious meaning is like a big trip. I get a plan and go to some country and we're hanging out and he would just be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, talk about a podcast. But then all of a sudden, 1920 season, the COVID year, we went to Kazakhstan, which is an incredible trip.
Sick.
Such a fun trip. And he was like all of a sudden like getting way more serious about it. And it's funny because people would even say, other people, I think young Jock, Johnny O'Connor on that trip was like, you guys should start a podcast just from listening to us in the van.
Right.
And we were like, dude, it'd be so sick to be just like we were driving around and trash is building up to, by the end of the trip, the trash is up to like your neck. If you're in Japan, dude, it's
so
insane.
This is like a gimmick. You're like thinking, okay, we could do the trash talk
It'd be
podcast
like the summer in Salt Lake City, and we're in a van with freaking trash up to our neck. And we actually wanted to do it. That would be our set. I still want to do it. I think it'd be funny.
Yeah.
But that was, there was, young Jock would even said, like, you guys should do one. So it's like not even just us saying it. It's just the banter, you know. You get people with the right banter. It really makes that trip fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun for other people listening, too, because they're just laughing and chiming in here and there.
It's so cool because you think about it. You're on a road trip to get your work done, get your tricks, film your shots, get your photos. and you need something to pass the time of the actual travel time.
Yeah.
Which is when probably most people listen to podcasts. They're on their way to work or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you
get a live one.
Yeah, you just try. Yeah, you're driving and you're just trying to make that time go by. So yeah, it's kind of the perfect storm. You guys you've already come up with this kind of persona, which is make the trip lighthearted.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. Yeah,
because there's going to be some serious moments, you know, like this trips are serious. This is these guys' career. Like when Chris goes to strap in, it gets serious. Like the whole vibe's going to change depending on the battle. You know, if it's a lighthearted small feature, but if it's something you can get hurt on, like the vibe's going to change. And so yeah, I can imagine, dude, if you're him, that time in the van is like really important.
Hell yeah,
because it's going to change his whole perspective and get his mind right. And if he didn't get that trick earlier, it's going to make him feel better.
How often do listeners reach out and say, like, I got a long trip ahead of me, can't wait for this one or whatever. I'm saving up a couple for this long
Yeah, they
trip.
say that. Like, I got a trip coming up and I'm stacking them up.
Yeah, that's dope.
It's cool. What's cool is even when they're like, oh, listen to this one 3 times, you're like, whoa.
That's nuts. Yeah, that is, sometimes, you know, listeners will reach out about stuff that I'm like, wow, that's a good one.
Anyways, Moonchild, man. These guys are dope, dude. They had you heard of them before?
Yeah.
From Europe.
Jeff Fulton's on them right now.
I was gonna say that's what attracted me.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was, but I'm cruising around and I see Tarquin's art on a board.
Oh shit.
He did a collab with these guys with Moonchild. And it was his shotgun art. And I was just like, whoa, I got to get one of these. And I have one. I have one in my collection. I'm going to put it on set. And, dude, it is so sick because that's some of my favorite art. So what we have here behind you is the Malibu. And you can just see it's a special shape. And that's another thing that attracted me to these guys. These guys have mad love for snowboarding. And that, you know, it always, like, draws me to a brand, makes them stick out because they have the passion. They both worked at the board factory, Elon, as well as it turned into the mothership through that process.
Oh, cool.
And that's why they got such cool shapes. And you go on their website, dude, they got this thing going called Skunkworks. You can design a one-off board with your own custom shape. You design a shape.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then Yuri figures it out and does it for you, and you have a one-off mold. Or you can pick from some cool ones that they have going.
We're at a point in our life where, like, you're having your own shape.
Dude.
Showing up at that hill where with your own one-off, that's badass.
That's some special stuff right there. And a lot of people, maybe they're scared to experiment with those shapes.
Yeah.
You got to get on them, dude, because they can really change the way you look at the mountain. But, you know, they also have, like, the shape looking behind you, and the quality is insane because these guys have a background where they've worked at the factories and they know what they're doing, and it shows in the product.
Yeah.
And then they're linking up with these legends like Fulton, Ali Goulet.
Oh, nice.
They have a whole crew that they're linked. I think Tina Bassich was on there.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. So they're kind of like paying homage to these people that kind of like really got them into snowboarding and changed the sport for them and did important things like Fulton deserves the respect that he's getting aboard. Like, that's cool.
Mount Baker Hardcore Original, man.
Yeah, dude, it's like these guys deserve respect. So it's really cool to see a brand doing that. And get on the boards, dude. They ride dope.
Killer. So we're at the stage right now in our conversation about setting up an actual studio.
Yes.
So who goes out and buys all the equipment and sets it up? Well, I already know the answer to that. Chris does it in his house, right?
Yes.
There's some circumstances around a girlfriend or something. All of a sudden he's gotta,
After that trip to Kazakhstan, where we got pretty serious, dude, we were like to the point where, like, I think one of the nights, he got sick on the trip when he got there because his traveling's tough. And this guy is like, before the trip, I think he was at like X Games, and before that, he was at a 32 shoot. And
shit,
these guys are busy. They got to cram their whole shit into a short time.
Yes.
And it got him beat down, and he's like in his room, like taking notes and doing this and that. And when he's better from this little sickness he had, and he pulls me into the room, and he's like, "All right, let's get serious about this. Let's start working on names right now. Let's go."
Amazing.
Yeah, and so like,
do you remember some of those?
Dude, I remember
days?
like Boots on the Ground was one.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how we like, we're always out. There are a lot of street names. Streets Are Calling or some shit.
Oh, wow. Could you imagine if you would have made Streets Are Calling? That would have been, it's not the bomb hole.
There's a lot of cool names. And, dude, we made like 50 each or something.
Holy fuck.
I think you have to these days because it's like you got to have a name if you want it to work and really turn into a business. It's got to be able to have a website, and you can't go in and look at your website and someone else owns it because you don't want to alter it and have some whack one.
Right.
And nowadays it's hard because there's a lot of things have been taken.
I think I could still get FNRad.com, man.
Dude, I'm surprised.
I lucked out.
You better get it before. Now that you just said it, someone's buying it, dude.
I think I've looked into it. It was like $60, and I was like, 60? That's a lot, or whatever. Maybe it was more.
Dude, what's crazy is there are people that buy up names that they think are going to be dope.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not $60. They're thousands of dollars.
Yeah, no, I've heard podcasts about it. Yeah,
and depending on how cool or how sought after they think it's going to be, that's why you're just 60.
Yeah.
But I would think it's interesting to search. And so you might find a name we might have looked up Streets Are Calling or Boots on the Ground.
Right.
And then there's like, fuck, someone's got the Instagram.
Yeah.
Someone's got the TikTok. Someone's got the Patreon. It's like, then you're screwed, and like the plug, like Russell Winfield, fuck. When I heard that name, I was jealous. I was like, that's a sick name,
it's
dude.
A great name.
I think I looked, there's like 30 podcasts called The Plug.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. And so it's got to be like so-and-so The Plug. And then
even
try to find the website. There's a plug company that you just plug the shit in. And there could be a butt plug. I mean, no, you got to be careful out there, dude. There's a lot of plugs. There's a lot of way to plug things.
I remember that. I remember I remember Russell's choice for The Plug being like dope name. Dope name, but like, really going to get lost in the mix. Going to get lost in the mix because there's a lot of plug podcasts.
Yeah, and
there were multiples.
Chris and I, through my experience with companies, and then Chris's experience of him being a product as a professional snowboarder, he's a product, whether you like to look at it or not.
Yep.
That's what you're selling. You're selling him.
Yeah.
And you start to think is like, okay, we got to think of this differently if we're going to be successful. Like, we have to have a name that has it can't be some website with some wild shit in it that no one's ever going to remember, you know?
Right.
It's got to be, yours has to be FNRad. Boom, that's easy. Like,
I lucked out.
I'm seeing it. Yeah. There it is. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's rad. Same with Stonie's buds. Like, I couldn't even believe it, dude. That thing's available. To me, that was a sign.
Yeah. I remember when you told me that the day that you told me about it, because you were going back and forth between the boarding house and
which was
Stonie's
also
buds.
available, which was a trip.
That's fucked up.
And the bomb hole was available. It's like all of a sudden it's meant to be like, this is the name.
Yeah.
But that's the name I liked. And then my wife threw, and that's paying homage to the shop at the East Coast that, to me, Coughlin's shop. That's where I went and I discovered the culture of the sport for the first time. You walk in there, VTSP crews hanging out.
Wow.
You're hearing Brushy talking about snowboarding.
Chris Swears and
Swears and fucking Matty L and Brownlee, dude, they're sitting there.
Wow.
They're watching vids and they're talking game with Coughlin, and you're just sitting there, a little freaking half pint, just stoked, a little Grom kook, really, just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you're watching videos, and maybe before I didn't even know these really existed, and you see in a whole other side that's the culture. Yeah. And that makes this is so much more than it's not a sport.
Remember
it's something else.
It's this time of year right now where the movie premieres, the first round of movie premieres was like when the shop got the VHS tapes.
And you were there.
Yeah. and everybody, I can remember sitting around with 20, 30 people after the doors closed.
Yeah.
Like, and having that whole day being like, can't we just put it on and watch it?
Yeah, like we really got to wait.
Why do we got to wait? And then,
and you know what, except for, what's his name there? The ski movies?
Oh, Warren Miller.
Warren Miller, though, like in Burlington, dude, that was like.
Was that a real big deal?
Yeah, that was a big deal. And even for snowboarders, because it was just winter,
Yeah.
And there would be a couple shots, not many. Yeah. Maybe Craig Kelly ripping some turns.
Right.
I waited through that whole movie to see those turns.
And then you hear Warren Miller talk about how,
his shtick and how he does it. Yeah. His funny way of talking.
I met him, I think. He came up. This is insane. He did a movie premiere or his movie tour at the Vancouver Snow Show.
And they're still doing them, right?
Yeah, I think so. His son's taking it over.
His kids took over.
And guess who the guest pro was?
Who?
You will never guess in a million years.
Mike Jacoby.
It was Noah Selaznick.
Selaznick.
Can you believe that?
What year? What year are we talking?
95.
Oh,
probably.
wow.
M3 Selaz.
Dude.
96, maybe.
And did you get to meet him?
I got to meet him.
Yeah, because those premieres are intimate. It's cool.
You know what? This is a deep pull, so I can't remember what we talked about, but I think we may have talked about that he got invited to be on Forum.
Wow.
I
didn't know
so.
that.
Yeah, he did. I know that's a fact he did, but...
Wood must have done that, huh?
I don't know who was... Yeah, I think Wood,
Was he marketing and maybe not
He was putting together the...
Dude, that's crazy.
You know that story, too. Wood told me it. That,
why it's the Forum 8?
Yeah, Burton 7 was happening.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow. What a move.
What a smart guy that Travis Wood.
Yeah, he's a very smart motherfucker.
Dude, that's really cool. That's Selaz, dude. And the fact that Warren Miller's got Selaz rolling, that
way to go.
That really says
Miller,
something.
How the hell did you do that?
Yeah.
That's fucking
dude,
sick.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah.
Those are a big deal though. But yeah, the snowboard videos, they were in the shops, closed door. We weren't having I'm trying to remember now the first snowboard video I went to. I don't know, dude. When did that become a thing?
I think the first premieres for us were like the mid, the early TBs, like TB5 maybe.
Yeah.
And I think MacDog would do whatever was going on, like Simple Pleasures TB5.
Yes, I remember those.
You know what I mean? Like, and they were huge.
Dude, they turned into. Yeah. Dude, when I remember coming to Salt Lake, the premiere season, and it's only gotten crazier, I guess. Or maybe not. It's different now. Now it seems almost more like a party.
We were gonna go see Dorothy last night with.
And that's
with Kennedy
that goes
Deck.
to this cool like college clubhouse. It's called the clubhouse. You rent it out,
dope,
and it's all ages, which is really cool because anyone can go now.
Yeah,
but you can go there if you're just a local and meet the whole. You never know who's gonna be there, dude. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
And I remember though back years ago when the first premieres were starting to go, dude, they were at movie theaters, and they would do like showings all day. And then they got so big, they were at the university.
We did ours at the Jumbotron at the stadium.
Yeah, dude, it's like this shit's getting big here, especially when you bring it up to the Forum premieres.
Yeah,
and the team was there. Autographs. They'd be at a table like this.
Filmmakers were there.
Yeah, everyone's in the line and you're shaking hands. You can ask any one of them a question, and bam, dude, it was a good time.
That's crazy.
It's like and now they're still going, which is awesome, but it's a little bit different than that. It's not like kids in line to sign autographs, and it could be maybe.
It's kind of a kickoff to the season.
Yeah, it's more like a celebration. The season's here.
But listen, we don't know what we're talking about because we aren't going to those.
That's a problem. We should have been there last night.
Maybe the next generation of kids are getting their inspiration by meeting their heroes at these things again.
And
because the snowboard industry doesn't change,
since that one's
right?
being. I'm really stoked that it's all age though, because there's young kids there.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's actually BYOB too.
Jesus,
which is pretty cool. I don't even know that's a thing in Utah, but
that's one of the reasons we didn't go. Is I'm not drinking right now. You don't want to be around
drinking right now. I don't want to be cigs or anything. It's but man, I bet it was a good time, and I bet it was packed. That was a Torment one.
Yep,
and maybe Torment and Ride or Torment and Vans. And I think Torment and Vans.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think there was 2 movies.
Yeah.
And what's cool is Torment has like more coming.
Yeah.
And I think Slush has some coming too. But it's cool that the mags are supporting these things to come through, and that premieres are still going because we need that. If you're a kid and you can go meet your favorite pro, that's huge.
That's the fabric. That's what weaves the fabric of the community. It weaves. It's epic. So let's go. You guys pick the bomb hole.
Yes.
And
Chris chose that name.
Yeah.
Give him props because I think choosing a name's kind of a special thing. And
it is.
When yours makes it, that's cool. That's a cool thing.
For sure.
My wife's all stoked because she named Stonie's buds. And it's a cool thing.
I
think that's dope. And
I love it.
Yeah, bomb hole was and I love how it's that double entendre of being the whole as well as what it might do to your life. A bomb hole in life.
Blows you up.
A bomb hole in the ground.
Yeah, man.
And that's cool shit. You know, like that's a smart name right
there. And you guys hit the ground running. You kind of had a formula. You're gonna have.
It's funny. I don't think we sat down and designed a formula.
No, you just
we got in the garage and we just
walk us
let's
through
do
how
a show.
Walk us through how exciting it was. Like shit, we got this equipment. Is it gonna work?
Well, no, you know
we don't even know if it's gonna work.
The funniest thing, Chris builds a desk.
Yeah.
He puts it in his garage. That set. We didn't build a set. That was his garage.
Yeah, that was just what was in there.
Pretty much everything there was just there. And everyone probably thought we manicured a set.
Right.
And it wasn't.
I don't even remember the first set. I definitely.
It was a lot like what was the set now. I mean, I haven't seen it in a bit.
Yeah.
But it was just like he had snowboard stuff on the wall. He had tools on the wall. He had pictures of snowboarding. It's like.
One of my favorite moments from doing my show was being in Dave Sione's garage.
Damn, Sione, yeah.
Right? At his house, hanging out with him, but being in his garage and watching that he's putting the tools on the wall and then he does the outline trace.
Oh, stick.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, I may have done some work in set dressing before. He made a sick set. And if you go back and look at the backdrop of Dave Sione, there's like a vintage chainsaw, you know, like
really?
Yeah, there's some old ass tools. Like he went through all his shit and like made an epic wall in behind us. There's like a fucking American flag. There's some real shit, you know?
And Chris was like that too, but he just made it in life.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
That was his real shit.
Like, but he did like spend $60 on building that desk, and
that's amazing.
And he ordered, you know what? I don't think he went and bought cameras at first. He like borrowed them from Beresford. Like
that's amazing.
You know what I mean? Like
that's actually amazing.
Yeah, and I think the light kit might have came from Justin at VG, and it was like, oh, Beresford's camera's pretty sweet. I guess we'll get another one then.
Yeah.
And then we had like a GoPro and a spoon. It was like a bucket and a spoon, and it was taped. And like, there's our wide angle. And I remember Chris calling me up because he like put a TV there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have someone with him or something, and like just figured out that the mics would work or the recording process would work. And
this is
because he
amazing.
hadn't set it up before, you know.
Yeah, he's doing it from scratch.
Yeah, doing it from scratch.
YouTube videos and shit.
Yeah. But what's funny is, you know, one thing you learn out there as a snowboard media crew is how to figure that shit out. You know, so you got a little bit of a background in setting, working with GoPros. And
talking with Derek,
you can put him on a spoon.
Talking with Derek Height, I realized. I mean, he just told me that when you work on snowboarding films, you're the editor, you shoot the thing,
dude,
you're fucking
marketing,
set dressing, you're marketing, you're all these things. So
you're running a gram.
When you go into movie production or commercial production, he was just like, this fucking lighting's not right.
Yeah.
And he's going up to the director saying, this lighting's not right. Well, there's a whole lighting department.
Yeah.
And the director's going at first like, why is this asshole talking to me?
Who is this guy?
There's layers of people between me, assistant director, blah, 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 blah. But also, how come the lighting guys don't know that this guy's right? Well, our lighting's off. What the fuck is going on?
Dude, when we did something where Mac Dog was hanging out on our set.
Oh, wow.
And which was freaking awesome.
Legend of Legends.
Yeah, Legend of Legends. He was there.
He's a quiet dude.
It was with. It was for Danny's event, Davis, his event out in Oregon with Woodward and Burton, and Backdog was like working on the video side. But when it was time to, it was like Todd Richards, Chris and I, doing like a live show.
Yeah.
And so he just happened to come over maybe to grab some footage. This guy is like messing with all our lighting. Just because it was killing him.
It was killing him.
Yeah, someone was wearing a baseball hat, and the shadow was forming, and we had to set everything up, and he just is like, you guys don't care, right? We're like, dude, you're Mac Dog.
You're Mac Dog.
Yeah, and he like, he just messed, and he came over like every day and like reset up the lighting.
I love that.
And moved, dude, that mic is blocking your face.
Yes.
Like, you cannot have that mic blocking your face.
Incredible.
And he moved it, And we were just like, whatever you want to do, dog. And it was so cool to see that level of professionality.
How fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it's Mac Dog. You're just like, ooh.
So these early days in the garage.
I was like, so good, my Mac Dog. But it was dope.
These early days in the garage go on for how long?
Well, do you know what's funny? We were hanging up. The chief put that board up there. I don't know, you can probably see it on the wide. I remember Chris telling him we were going to move out of the garage.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you can't do that.
Oh, wow, really?
And he was like serious. He wasn't joking.
He's like, why would you waste your money? This is perfect.
No, he was just like, that's what you guys are.
Oh,
like you can't ruin that vibe. That's the vibe, man. Like you can't do that. And he just told, I think Chris was on the phone with him. I wasn't on the phone, but he was just like adamantly just, no, you can't do that.
Please don't. Yeah.
No, you're not doing that. And he's just like, dude, yes, we are doing it. No. And losing some of that, I don't know, just that you're down in your mom's basement vibe or something, or you're in the garage.
Well, looking for a new space, did you guys look in like the cool parts of town, like across from the coffee shops and shit? Or
what was funny is Chris's crib, it was great. It was his guest room was like merch room where we kept it all.
You guys already have merch at that point?
Dude, we had merch like day 3 or something.
Dude, I'm season 9. This is the very first merch I've ever fucking made, dude. Season 9. I'm a little late to the fucking
Dude, I'll have
game.
merch out as this episode drops.
Look at this. We already got merch.
Well, and this is like a whole nother brand as an advertiser. These guys are really cool to sponsor the event or the podcast, Nomi mugs. And it's a wonderful world we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Where anyone, and it's huge, you'll notice it too. I think what it comes down to is kids, people, anyone, they don't want to be that cookie cutter dude we all have the same shirt on. And we got it from, I don't want to say any brand names and break their hearts, and because they're all making rad merch.
And they might sponsor the show.
Yeah, they might be a sponsor of the show. But it's like, not everyone wants to have the same T-shirt on. It comes from that thrift store vibe.
Sure.
But now instead of a thrift store vibe, it's a merch vibe, I guess. And
you get it in your feed. Like, I just did a funny one of me and my wife. There's like, they set up the like, hey, do you want to do a shirt with you and your wife? And saying like bugging each other for 50 years or whatever. And I did one of us as like really old people.
Sick.
And I've got the photo on my phone. I haven't showed her yet. But it's like,
she's gonna be stoked.
You don't have to wear anything that
you can have anything,
isn't personalized.
You can have your own shit.
You could always be in something that is dope and designed from a bit of your imagination, or that's like supporting something that you feel a part of a community of.
And that's the thing. It's something that you identify with, and I think it starts like you're looking at, I don't know if you know these guys, but like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, like these
I know
guys
who they are.
Recreated like turning shit into a business on YouTube,
Right?
And you go back and look at their merch numbers. And they both had 2 separate channels going on.
Wow.
We're talking millions.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking millions.
See,
dude.
I thought you were talking Jake Paul. Isn't there?
He's a boxer now.
Isn't there like a pro snowboarder last name Paul?
Oh, yeah.
It's a different dude.
Yeah.
But
Brian Paul.
you're talking about.
I'm talking YouTube.
You're talking about
here.
those YouTube kids,
dude. And now
the boxer
and now he's
guy,
a boxer,
and
dude.
holy
And
fuck,
they
made
told him he could be a
money.
boxer, and they recreated boxing. They made boxing exciting again.
Isn't that messed up?
It's crazy. And
yeah.
When he first came into boxing, they told him, "No, dude, you're not coming to boxing. You're a fucking joke."
Yeah.
And he had to do all these fights against whoever would fight him, and now he's beating fools down, and it's serious. But I saw a clip of Tyson being like, yo, you guys need to be thanking him. And it's like, you need to be thanking him. In Tyson's voice.
I love it.
They were like, these guys recreated boxing, made boxing exciting again.
Well, that is where we are in our lives, that this kind of thing can come together.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yesterday when we showed up here, this wasn't here.
Yes.
And I don't think Trent or I could figure it out.
I think
like in our
words might even
imaginations
came
what we were
out of
gonna
your
do.
mouth that I don't think you can do this.
Yeah,
That wasn't
possibly.
so tight, bro.
Yeah, I think we were concerned.
You
got
got to take a vision. And you have to.
Yeah.
Like, I think we talked about this off the air. You take like. I have a picture in my head because maybe it's from being a photographer.
Huh.
And when I said, first of all, when we had to split up with the podcast, it's like, this is what I love to do. I'm not going anywhere. And I knew I had this space. I had this room. This room's cool. I like
That's
this room.
why I was here, was because you were so convincing and like, I missed the mic.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, well, let's get you back on the mic.
Yeah. And I knew I had this space. Like, this room has a cool vibe to it.
It does.
The light comes in there in the morning. It comes here in the afternoon. Yeah. When I'm done with it, like, this fireplace is going to be insane.
Your house is a Mullen, right?
Yeah, it's a designer crib, which is, I can't believe I found this place.
Yeah, listeners, look that shit up.
Yeah.
Like, this is a pretty badass neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a Ron Mullen, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And it just has, it doesn't have that cookie cutter Mormon, not anything wrong with Mormon, like just cookie cutter vibe.
None.
And it's custom, it's designer, it's got some flavor. But I had this picture in my mind of this room with this being here and the vibe of being in the house and people coming through. And the way that has its own, like, I'm going to be able to seal that off with barn doors. Once it's all done, I will show everyone, you know, but this will be like almost just a separate spot. I almost thought about putting a door there just to go through there because I'll be shipping merch out of the garage. But I have a plan, you know.
I love it.
When I launch, you know, it's going to launch with a Patreon. It's going to launch with
You got to have a launch party
Instagram.
here.
Yeah, like we were saying.
Party here.
And
record
get people coming through.
the launch party live with just guests coming in, coming on the mic and being like, congratulations.
Yeah.
Glad that you're back on the mic. This is fucking sick. Your place looks great. Like,
let's go. Yeah.
Let's
and that'll be fun. And,
yeah.
And it's like, it's a cool spot for it. I had that vision in my head and I knew I want to be the mic. And like I said, we're going to launch with all the pieces and even more. Like, I got a Discord that's going to come out, and I hope people will be able to get on that. And it's, are you familiar with Discord?
Not yet. I'm doing one. I'll do one.
There you go. It's
Rob Dow's been telling me to do it.
It's a community.
It's a community where you schedule events.
Well, if you're a listener,
and then you just go live.
It's cool. It has a lot of uses.
Yeah.
No, even besides that.
Yeah.
Like, one, you and I could have a private meeting on there in our own room, like we're doing a Zoom.
Ah, nice.
And it can be on video. Okay. I could do. It was cool. I was on the 9 Club one.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hanging out, and it's got a lot of followers.
Yeah, they do.
And let's say we're both fans of the 9 Club, which we are.
We are, yes.
So we're like-minded people. We can go on the 9 Clubs and meet each other there and talk shit.
Oh,
there's it's like
snowboard.com.
Yes.
Like that old vibe.
It has that vibe.
Cool, I like that.
So you're going to meet like-minded people, and you can either, there's a video room. You could do it with video from your computer. Or you could just do the mic.
And then you could schedule
or
guests
you could just be hanging.
Yeah, I love it.
And you might be hanging out like I was in a chat room.
Yeah.
Chris Roberts jumps in. And all of a sudden, like, he's just hanging out. And
wow.
And that's, he just pops in, and it's dope, you know?
Yeah.
There's moderators kind of keeping it cool. There's a...
kicking out people who are causing the ruckus.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to do that, make sure it's kept clean. But there's also a spot where the photographers are talking equipment. There's people trading skateboards and there's different. You build out what rooms you want.
I like this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you got a big vision.
You go
for
play
what you're
video
doing.
games together.
Yeah, that's fun.
But that goes back to the community element.
Yeah,
and I think that's what this is all about: is trying to like, snowboarding is a community, man. We need to be here for each other.
Well, I think if you hadn't built such a rad community at Bombhole, if the thing would have went your separate ways, I don't know that you would have had that kind of like cheerleader style. Like, I remember in the first days of us talking about you doing this, there was, you know, you were telling me people were reaching out all the time.
Dude,
like, it was just like,
it was crazy, man. And even so, it starts at the bomb hole. You know, people they'll identify with different things. And I, you know, as a photographer, I had my photos going into magazines, and you know, you're out wherever you're doing whatever you're doing, and people were like, "Oh, that was a dope photo. Should have been a cover. Or that cover was dope. It was really cool." You put out a podcast that has some serious content, you're getting a message like, "Dude, you inspired me to move here and do this, and it changed my life. You inspired me to go get that job. You saved my life, dude. You had me. I was so down. I hit you up, and you talked with me, and I'm not gonna do what I thought I was gonna do. That was really negative." Or it's just like you're having this effect that people are listening and maybe you're helping them through some stuff, and they're helping you too.
Long form
because I went through a dark time.
And
people are hitting me up, telling me they love me and how you doing and what's up and donating so I can be doing this. And so it's like, let's all be here for each other. And what's our common denominator? It's snowboarding. And that's a cool thing. And it's also that, like, you're at a resort, dude, you're riding a lift with some homie you never met. Don't not talk to him. If he's got a snowboard on it. Some people don't, you know. And it's like, dude, what's up?
I've had like the greatest experiences just bumping into people when I'm so far from home, and they're like, FNRad guy. I'm like, yeah, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like
I've heard you referred to as Snowboard Jesus.
Sure, yeah.
Love it.
I did that for a while. A
good Halloween
until
that other one, the other Jesus came out.
He's Snowboard Jesus. I'm Shred Jesus.
Oh, you're Shred Jesus.
You know what? I got rid of the name because of
Snowboard Jesus.
Because that wasn't really the vibe I was going for.
Did you create it, or someone just called you that because of your vibe?
Graham Cam.
Yeah.
His brother is the guy who plays the music at the beginning of my show.
Oh, sick.
Evan. And Graham just called me Snowboard Jesus. Then he grew his hair long.
Yeah.
And they call him Snowboard Judas.
And then the other, I don't know, I haven't checked up to see if he's still around. The other one.
You know what the thing was for me was that it's fucking 2023. You know, you don't want to offend people, and I'm not trying to be like the woke guy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say inclusion is more important now than ever.
Dude.
And if I'm hurting somebody's feelings because I'm making light of Jesus and he's their dude.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Like,
it's not me.
You shan't. There's no reason to hurt someone's feelings over something you could just pass over. I think more people need to understand that.
Yeah, sure.
And that goes back to any sort of difference in something you might say when people are like, oh, why can't I say this or say whatever negative. It's because you're hurting that person's feelings, and that's not cool.
Right, and it's a process to learn this shit. And I was really stoked when we were talking about Kennedy. Yeah. And I was like, I said she, and I'm like, wait, I think it might be them.
Yeah.
It might not be her, she. It might be they, them. And then you're like, yeah. dude, it is they, them.
I was at an event.
And I was like, it's like, yeah, why not fucking... Why? That's not hard.
It's not hard. That's the thing.
It's worth doing because
not do it is just being ignorant, right?
To not do it, especially on some weird principle, is like insensitive.
Yes.
And you're and I don't want to call out anybody. You do you.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
You do you. And if you don't want to be polite to a certain group of people because you got a problem with that, I want to be polite to you, even though you're in a group of people that doesn't like being polite to a certain degree.
And we're at a time where people are just beating themselves up.
Fuck yeah.
And there's too much suicide. There's too much negativity.
Yes.
So don't be something that adds to that. Don't stack on to that.
The pronouns thing for me was always based around the suicide statistics. Like, so
it's crazy, dude.
You're statistically more likely to commit suicide if you're in a marginalized group.
That's a fact.
What it comes down to.
Yeah, because there's less.
So if you're not, then the absolute least thing you could do is just, listen.
Yeah. And how hard is it?
And try and be
right?
polite. It's not that hard. It ain't that. It's impossible in some situations.
Yeah.
But it's not that hard.
That's it, right?
And also, the pronouns thing is difficult, man.
To come up on all of them?
Even trying, you fuck up. But if your intentions are right, then just keep fucking up. It's just it's just like anything.
Someone was telling me, and I don't know if this is a fact or what the word is, or I know it's a fact because someone confirmed it.
Yep.
But in New York, the amount of pronouns is like a crazy number.
Right, which people get. Okay, but here's the thing.
So we don't have to be able to stay updated.
Yeah. Staying updated is important, and they change.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Just pay attention.
You know what? Just be a good person.
Be a good person and don't hurt feelings.
Yeah, no hard feelings, and then and change.
Because life's hard enough, dude.
Shit that's changed in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? We were talking real childhood trauma shit the other day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was normal. My mom went to a psychiatrist to oh my God, when I hit my kid, I feel so bad.
What did I do?
And then the psychiatrist is like, hitting your kid's a normal part of life. Like you gotta.
The psychiatrist said that.
Yeah, like stop.
And it's like
stop beating yourself up and keep beating your kid.
This person's not updated. The psychiatrist.
Yeah. No, but at the time that was the current thing.
And it was. Yeah,
it was.
The times change, and let's roll with them. I guess.
I think they gave us a book series. I'm okay, you're okay. I need to go back and read it because it was like a comic book almost. And
really,
I don't think there was much. I don't think there was much
comedy.
I don't think there was much comedy, and I don't think there was much content there. Like, hey, give your mom a break. She's okay. So she beats you a little bit. It's not a big deal.
Dude.
You're okay, too. Hey,
I'm okay. You're okay.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Maybe it was like, I'm okay. You're okay.
Well, what's crazy, and there's levels to it, a slap on the wrist, which still isn't okay today.
Sure.
Is a lot different than some of the beatdowns some of these people are getting, and that's just messed up.
And there's probably good science behind, like, somebody who's a tough guy, saying like, I fucking took that shit, and I'm good. You go, okay,
someone who hits kids or hits someone weaker than them. That's to me the worst thing.
The bottom line. Thanks for the opportunity to say this on your wonderful show.
Well, you made a discovery with it recently, and that's dope, dude.
If it worked, if hitting worked. Like, say your kid runs in the road, right? 2 years old, kid runs in the road. You grab him, you hit him, you say, don't run in the road. If it worked, then now the kid can just play by the side of the road, right?
Yeah.
They learned their thing. You hit them. Now just leave your kid by the side of the road. What a great parenting move that is.
And what if that hit, though, created something deeper than they thought? And that's the problem, right?
Because the kid doesn't know that was because they were running in the road.
And they might not even remember that there was an issue with the road. All they remember is the hit. And what's crazy to me and what I've learned as we get older is your parents, they weren't perfect people. They're us right now. And I don't have kids. You've been through that. But, man, especially when I was, let's say the parent has a kid at like 18, 19. That's a kid having a kid. And when you're a kid, you look up at them as this person that's your parent, and you think they know everything, and what they say is the gospel.
Yeah.
But they don't know what's going on.
No, they don't.
And they are not perfect, and the problem is they don't realize some of the effects they can have on other people, or not other people, their kids.
How could they?
And that's messed up. And how could they, right?
Because they are doing their own life.
Yes.
And they're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And there's factors. You know what I mean? Like, just
and
shut
so
up and eat your French fries.
Out?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I got a fucking meeting tomorrow, and you need to go to bed or whatever.
Dude,
you know, that kind of
crazy,
shit.
Man. And life's just hard, and I guess we all got to remember that. And let's get through it and be more positive.
The community thing is really, really fucking good.
And so with snowboarding, we got this community.
You guys found community with a bomb hole immediately,
which was cool. Yeah,
you found listenership. You
We
got
had
the merch together. You were
body.
starting to get money, and you were.
I remember our first T-shirts. They shrunkled up and growing pains, dude.
Yeah. Literal growing pains.
Literal.
That's amazing.
But you learn as you go, and you get your samples of your merch, and it gets better. It gets better. Better.
Tell me the conversation about the salts. Tell me the conversation.
Dude.
Did it happen on mic or did it happen after? Like, hey, it would be fucking hilarious if we got these things.
I think it did happen probably on a show.
Yeah.
Like Chris probably mentioned something about, because he's like,
hockey guy.
It comes from hockey. And you still, if you watch hockey games, players are popping those things. I also remember way back in the day, boxing. Someone gets knocked out.
You wake them up with the
or they
salts.
used to actually be in emergency kits.
Yeah, man.
And
right.
Boom, like someone, I don't know what it was. People used to faint more than they used to. Remember, like people watching the Beatles and they just feel over and faint. Like, what is going on?
There was quicksand, which was weird. There was quicksand everywhere, and you would faint. People would faint.
And you give them some bad salts.
Or scare them or whatever. Yeah. And then the smelling salts was
smelling
for that.
salts would wake them up.
That's so fucking funny.
Or if you got knocked out by Mike Tyson.
Smelling salts.
Smelling salts. And
that would have been a good like pre-fight banter. You better bring a lot of smelling salts because I'm gonna knock the shit out of you.
And that was Chris's idea. But what I do remember is sitting and having a meeting.
Yeah.
About run through a wall smelling salts in the commercial we're gonna make.
Mikey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's like that shit was fun, like. And maybe that's when you get into an office scenario where, you're just sort of like going through like, all right, what are we gonna do now? And you come up with stuff like that, and that's cool. And you have a space to make it happen.
Yeah. So
and
when
that's cool
when
shit.
do you get the space? Like, kind of what episode? Like, is it before episode 50 or is it after the first year?
That's a really good question. No, I'd say we went through I'd say we did a year at Chris's and then went over.
Yeah. And you're looking for spaces.
But like I said, his house, the kitchen table was like where Jules was doing spreadsheets and secretarial stuff, and
she was there that early.
Just at the tail end of Chris's.
Man, oh man, you guys just grew so fast, so big, so fast. You got a staff.
I remember seeing there's a media deck.
It's out of his garage.
Media deck, and like, dude, our numbers, they skyrocketed pretty quick.
Yeah.
Within like the first 4 months.
Yeah.
And that was probably that COVID heavy time.
You know what happened? I remember where I was when I saw the numbers on the Lizard King thing. I fainted.
It was just like Elvis walked through.
I couldn't believe the numbers. I was like, that's impossible. I think I almost
he's a funny
quit.
guy.
I think I almost quit.
You were going to pack up and quit.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I called Sean Kearns and said, there's these new guys called the Bomb Hole, and they've been doing it all summer while I was off. I don't even know why to do it. And he goes,
you don't even know where we came from.
And he goes, and he goes, so you think there should only be one snowboard?
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. And that's even the thing with this going on, with Stonie's Buds and Bomb Hole, dude. There's how many TV channels are there? How many radio stations are there?
Right.
And maybe we have a smaller pool of people to interview, but different people are going to do different interviews and get different things out of people.
Remember, I interviewed
2 years might go by.
Remember, I interviewed you at the Bomb Hole, and your episode for the Bomb Hole, you had either just recorded it.
You're right.
Or you were going to record it, but you told me after.
I think yours came out first.
Yeah, and I think you said, "Hey, I recorded it, and we didn't talk about any of the same shit."
Yeah, like there's other stuff to talk about it.
Right,
you're going to ask different questions.
Right. There are some guests that their show is the show. Their episode is the episode, and you hear it on another.
You know what
show
sucks
and you go,
is when. And I don't see this in snowboarding.
Right.
But in LA, people do the circuit.
They do the circuit.
Like, all right, I live in New York. I'm going to go to LA and do the podcast circuit.
Yeah.
And then you'll see someone pop up in like 6 podcasts and it's the same show.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, dude.
Yeah.
You got more to you than that. Like, let's go.
Yeah, they must not. They have. Yeah, I can remember that.
Well, they're probably like have an agent be like, you got to talk about this. You got to talk about that.
I'll tell you, with Travis Rice, I got Travis Rice at the Depth Perception Vancouver thing. And I had all my gear to set up at a table at the premiere. Yeah. And I was like,
that's rad.
Please do this interview with me. I want to have your name on my show. This is a fucking big deal. And he said, sure. But then he kept it to the fucking talk of depth perception only.
Because he was there.
Was like, so what was your first snowboard? He's like, well, we started on depth perception in October of it wasn't that bad, but it was like, we're talking about this. I'm doing press for this now. That's how it works.
He's like, this is what I'm doing, but this is where my mind is.
You know what's funny is that I had my pack of smokes on me there, and I was nervous, and he's like, I'm going to set up. I'm like, I'll just have a smoke before. He goes, and he saw I had a joint in there, and he's like, oh, is that a joint? I'm like, yeah. And I don't smoke weed on the mic. I just don't.
Oh, that's a good call.
It's just, I hear it.
Because you should be like,
yeah. And I can't do any.
Man.
Yeah, my memory's shot, and I can't do pulls, and I'm laughing
and your eyes
more.
Are just peeled back, like blind you with dental floss. Just,
yes.
Hey, man, we just a stoner show, bro.
But smoking a joint with Travis Rice, I couldn't
we can pass that
up. And then also just his attitude about it. He's like, let's get weird. And I was like, let's fucking get weird.
Now, what an amazing
and then we
human you got
get
right
weird.
there.
That guy, because what was weird was he wanted to talk about depth perception.
He probably had an agent like looking at him.
He 100% for sure, because I was so high. I was looking at that dude and I was like, number one, he's a giant Devin Walsh. He's just like a giant version of that exact kind of stocky little guy. And so he's like...
Has Dev been on your show?
Yeah, a couple times.
I bet. I'd love to get that guy to America.
Oh, yeah. He's on Airtime podcast this week.
Sick.
Yeah.
Hey, he must have been on that before.
No, never. Huh? Jody's been on him forever, and he's a huge fan, and he said he would do it, and yeah.
That's crazy. What's the... I guess Jody doesn't live...
No, Jody lives so close.
Oh, he does?
Oh, it's just Whistler to North Van. It's nothing.
It's just that hard.
The problem is Devin is a very private person.
Word.
He's a private person. He's a dad, and he's not that active in snowboarding.
Yeah, so he's like, this isn't my priority.
Right. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. But it's going to be an epic show.
I bet, dude.
Oh, my God.
Probably going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But Travis, dude, he's...
So
what a boss.
At that thing, when I was looking at Travis, I had this thought in my head that he was godlike.
Dude, I don't know, man. He might be kind of Norse godlike. Like, something about him, dude. Not that he's Norse in any way.
It's like he's aligned himself with his purpose in life, and he's just fucking knocking it out of the park.
He's like got, some sort of fire.
The opening question of his on the bomb hole, what's the meaning of life? And he wasn't even primed for that?
No. And he just nails it. Just like...
He crushed it.
Well, and I just got that energy from him, too. Like, he was not what I expected, you know? The fact that his boat was named Falcor, and there's this creative side to him. There's this business side to him. There's this, like, I don't know. It's just... what an amazing human. Like,
amazing human.
If there was more humans like that, I don't know what society
There's
would
a
look
magic side to him. That's the thing that you didn't quite get to the magic side of, like, magical thinking, like really magic shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. I think I'm nerding out on Travis Rice right now.
I think he's worth it. I mean, look at his snowboarding.
Did you see that natural selection? We'll do it for once and we'll talk about that run.
Yeah.
Where it was like Dustin... Dustin should have probably won.
Yes.
And then everybody was sort of like, well, how do you get judges that are going to be nonpartisan when the signature on the check is Travis fucking Rice, right?
So true.
Dustin Craven gets robbed, and so like people are mad a little bit, but then his run that Travis just like knocked it so far out of the park for that one.
Dude, he's good.
But he was otherworldly in that run.
Let's say otherworldly.
He did like a line for a movie.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. Yeah, just when you're doing a line for a movie in this live thing where the pressure's there. Talk about Moss Spaghetti, Eminem style. Like, palms are sweaty. That fool was ready, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, he was ready. He was ready. So when you move into let's do it this way. Were there any problems in the garage that got exacerbated by moving to the office?
Masturbated or exacerbated?
Exacerbated. Exacerbated?
It's a big word.
Was there a masturbation problem in the garage?
There was a huge masturbation problem in the garage. I will be the first one to say that. It was, it was wild.
Were you...
Painting the walls with semen, yes.
Were you guys bickering back and forth? Was there like things you couldn't agree on in the garage that by the time you get to the to the studio and the offices that it's going to compound and you kind of have a gut feel like, oh shit, this could go off the rails?
I would think even from the start there's like an undertone.
Okay.
Not a bickering in the garage, but just like an undertone of right from, like, really clear to me that he needed and have to run things, and it wasn't going to be a partnership where, like 50, I didn't want to go into a thing feeling like an employee.
I wasn't 50,
an employee.
50. Right.
And that's fine with not being 50-50.
Yeah.
But you don't go into an ownership scenario thinking you're actually an employee equal with the employees. And not that we're not equal, but you're also, you're a shareholder.
No, you're the owner.
And you're a founder. And you're doing the show. You're not shipping the merch and whatever. And it's like, sure, the team makes everything. And one person, you got to have one person steering the ship. That's a fact with any business. Or else it's going to get a little bit convoluted.
Unless you have two people that, like you were saying, that
there's like an accountant. There's an accountant, and then there's a guy on the creative side.
Creative guy, accountant guy, and the salesman.
Yes.
That's a great trifecta if you can do it.
A trifecta.
Yeah.
And it works and it's great.
Yeah.
And
Dog's just like getting crazy.
He's like trying to get a camera angle going.
Yeah, nice.
So
yeah,
and it's like.
So you guys hadn't talked about the dynamic of like you're going to be a co-host versus.
And it was put on the site as hosts, you know.
Yeah, 2 hosts.
And
you're both co-hosts. It's not like he's the.
And what's funny?
Yeah, it wasn't scripted, right? Like it was just like.
You know what our problem
week
was.
You would start. The other week he would start. Well, right?
No, and it was always down. Like okay, like you need one person doing the thing. It would get weird if you just maybe changed it.
Okay.
And the dynamic, I guess, that was cool for me. Like you can't have like one thing we wanted to be really clear about is when you're doing a show, the show's about the guests. It's not about us. One guy needs to steer the ship, and that's important, or else it's going to turn into a hectic thing. And when you're doing the podcast, it's got to be about the guests. Because, I don't know, man, you can go through and watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube shows, and they're really quick to go back to themselves every story.
That's the first 3. That's the first 3 seasons of my show, and the reason that I had such a hard time.
Yeah,
because I don't want to.
You're
tell
drawing
people about
upon
me.
your own thing, and it's hard to not relate. And but at the end of the day, like we're here every show. This guy's here one show, and it sucks, dude. When you're sitting there, you're watching, you want to learn about this person, but all of a sudden here you are hearing about. Are you familiar with Adam21?
No.
He got canceled. Long story short. He was doing rap shows, and
this is Adam21.
Yeah,
this is the Adam21 part of the show.
No jumper.
Jumper. What is it?
No jumper.
No jumper.
And he interviews what would be the newest. Started with SoundCloud rappers.
Sick.
And he had a real affinity for picking out who's going to be that new hot shit. And he built this big show.
He had a killer ear.
Yeah. It turns out he actually ended up having a contract with a music label, and they're feeding him that killer ear.
Oh,
but
yeah,
whatever.
Right.
But so this guy, whenever he interviews somebody, he'll ask you a question, and somehow it always comes back to his him boning some chick.
Oh wow!
And it would seriously happen like so much that you just be like, dude, I do not want to hear about your butthole again, bro. What is going on? I don't care what threesome you had.
Sure.
Like this is killing me, dude.
This is killing me.
I would love to hear how this rapper came up.
I came to the show because I saw this guest's name.
Yeah, dude.
And now
I might have even not heard of him yet because he's new.
Right.
But wow, I'm interested. I want to hear about this guy.
Not about your sex life.
Yeah, dude. Because he had some dudes that ended up being killer rappers that ended up passing away. And,
oh man.
And they're like, it could have been this insane show, but unfortunately now I didn't get to hear what I wanted to hear, and this guy's not even with us anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude.
And
he still did this to his day, and I've always like, this guy is not gonna eventually, because Trevor Andrews was on his show, and
sick.
I remember being like, dude, what's that guy like? Is he cool? And he's like, he's cool, man. And I figured he must have some sort of something about him, because he was getting cool people.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I remember telling Angie, I'm like, dude, one day this guy is gonna get it handed to him, and it finally happened like a month ago, and I'm just like,
yeah. I mean, I sometimes slip into it. I was in a.
Well, we were when we were starting.
I was particularly. I had a Monster energy drink, and I'm not against them. But I can't be on mic on Monster, baby. That fucked me up.
They get you too hyped.
I had that because I'd been driving for too long. I had my friends in the car, and we pull up to Scott Stevens' house, and this is a get. Scotty's a get.
Yeah.
Because he's too close to Grenier to get on the show.
Yes.
He hasn't done his bomb hole.
We tried to get him on. We know he's got a kid, and he's having another kid, and we've tried, and you're going driving to his place.
I'm at his house.
There you go.
Yeah, his dogs.
I bet if we
this.
drove to his place,
he'd do the bomb hole.
Yeah,
sure.
he'd do the bomb hole.
But I spent that entire show saying,
oh, you're like
setting him up and then talking over.
No.
It's the worst. It's it is my shame.
It sucks, right?
It hurts me to think about.
What's cool is that it hurts you to think about.
Yeah.
Because that means
I know
that it wasn't cool.
I know it wasn't
because some
cool.
people are so they don't know.
Man.
They never get.
Yeah, they
don't realize it.
It's true.
So
it's
him and
true.
I made a big point of that.
Yeah.
And we just kind of had certain things, but let's say both of us were like, doing that, like leading the charge on like the intro and the thing. It would just get confusing.
Yeah.
And at first, you could almost figure out your cadence with each other.
You do.
Or else you're gonna be talking over each other. Like
totally.
And that's like we needed to watch out for that. And so, but also at first I remember being like, shit, sometimes I gotta fight for getting in on this thing.
Right.
And sometimes I'd get over it. And I remember one episode, it made me just back up a little bit. And then I was quieter, and that episode sucked. And so I had to just be like, all right, I got to fight to get in there.
Yeah.
And, but then, we worked it out.
Yeah, because over the course of the first year, it went from, Chris was kind of the host. He's like welcoming you to the show. He's introducing the guests.
Yeah.
He's getting you to do your catchphrase. And then he's kind of leading a scripted talk with the person from the point of view of like, this guy's done his research.
Yeah.
He's gotten, in touch with the family, people that this person's been on trips with. He's doing a lot to make the episode as good as he can. And then you're just coming in with the vibe of like, remember that trip we were on.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
is
the
90%
person.
of them I know from a long career, I guess. Maybe even rode for the brands I worked for, or I shot photos with them.
And the nice thing about it from a listener point of view was you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yes.
You're getting some of these guest questions. You're getting Patreon stuff. You chime in with the Patreon. So you were in charge of the Patreon, obviously.
It's funny. It was Angie's idea to even do it. I don't think Chris even knew what a Patreon was when I started it.
Right. That's cool.
And
that's cool.
With all her watching of YouTube videos and this and that, is like all of them have Patreons. And at first...
that's how you make good money if you're doing a niche thing, for sure.
And you got to, cater and make cool things for them and make it a special thing.
I talked to the guy from Fretboard Journal, and he's like, if you get big enough, if you've got a good enough following, the one guy he was saying doesn't do shit. He just doesn't, and he makes a couple.
Oh, and he doesn't do any special for him.
A couple $1,000 a month. He's like, this is how you keep the show going, and that's that.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna make the show the best.
It costs money to make to. I mean, if this is your job, it's taking all your time, and you got to be able to survive. So, it's like when you hear an NPR ad, like, we need money to keep going. It's a fact. They need money to keep going.
Yep.
And so it's important, and. So that support and knowing that the people back you like that, that's huge. That's cool.
It's super huge. And it had something to do with the support that you got after you were asked to leave the show or you were fired from the show, because you'd been engaging with these people. You were the one who was,
like the people listening?
Well, the Patreon listeners especially.
I started as we grew... not even just Patreon, all of them, anyone who hit us up. Oh, like, cool. I would go on to the, not my personal gram, but the Bombhole one. And when Chris and I started, our attitude was anyone that writes us, we got to reply.
100%.
Because that's not cool if you don't.
Yeah, I think I've replied to 100%.
Yeah, and I would go on and see people that weren't getting replied to and be like, oh, shit. I'm
gotta play
I'm
catch
in.
up. Yeah.
And so there'd be the Patreon ones you're dealing with at first, and then those ones, and then your personal ones too. But it, like, something I wanted to make sure was that any person that emailed, any person that wrote in a DM, like, dude, they got to get hit back, and that's just that, because they're taking the time to watch your show, they're taking the time to be part of your community. And they're homies, dude. You talk to them, and they're rad,
Yeah.
It's really cool when you get people that they're becoming your friends on there, and that's rad.
Yeah. And
so it's important,
And so when you move into the Bombhole office where I saw you, I remember you showing me. You guys had offices.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is my office. Here's Chris's office.
Yeah.
Here's the shipping guys. Here's, whoever had offices. And
I mean, Chris has a dream, I think, or wants to have... I guess we're different. We're very different people.
Yeah.
He wants a building. He wants a team. He wants a crew where, like, look at you. You're like, I want to do this myself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
I want to be somewhere in the middle, I guess. Like, I don't want to have a giant. I don't have this vision to keep going and keep going.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier on in this episode. Like the energy that happens in the office is a part of the creative energy that moves the thing forward, gets it bigger, and builds the community. So you understand 100% that being in the office has big perks.
Yeah,
for sure.
It has perks, but there's also that perks at being at home at night and be able to write all these DM dudes.
100%.
And knowing the, in my opinion, what goes on out of the office. In Chris's mind, anything that happens out of the office wasn't work.
Yeah.
And everything, in my mind, there's so much to get done out of the office. There's a whole world out there that works 24/7.
Well, that was where
and you just need the yin and the yang. You need it all, in my opinion.
That's where I really connected with you, because I'd had a job where it didn't count if you weren't staying late and doing all the shit. But I could get the kudos for being a hard worker if I stayed late but didn't do anything. Yeah. I'm just there. We're just having a coffee talk at the fucking cooler or whatever.
I've worked this way for a long time. I'm not the dude who's gonna like leave my computer at the office.
You didn't
5 o'clock. I'm done.
You didn't have an office for your photo career.
No, or Tech 9. I worked out of a home office for the past 30 years or something.
Yeah, so that's something that probably could have, should have, would have been taken into account when you guys are setting this whole place up.
Well, I wanted to say this earlier. When Chris and I started this business, there's something we did very wrong that people should do. And I'll say this to everyone. It's very important. We did not have any sort of agreement. And we had like a quick little, you own this, you own that.
Sure.
But you need to have a shareholder agreement that actually outlines an answer for every situation that might come up.
Yeah.
Whether it's a divorce in 3 years, like we just had, or we're in the middle of, or it's something very minor. It's like every single thing has to be written out and accounted for, and then there's no fight about it.
Right.
It's written there.
Yeah.
You both agreed, and it's got to be written up in the benefit of both people, because I think he started with one a couple months in that was only in his benefit. And it's like, it's not tight, bro. That's not working.
Sure.
It's got to be something that's very, very universal, and it's got to be right from the beginning, not a couple months in.
Yeah.
Because things are already changed in a couple months, and that's when I think Chris is like, oh shit, I need to have one. And he was right to want to have one.
Yeah.
Like anyone starting any business with another person, the first thing you do is make this agreement, and then there's going to be no fight. It's real easy.
You know what you're reminding me of? When my first marriage broke down, I didn't want to do another marriage.
I guess it's a prenup.
Yeah. No, it's not even a prenup. It's like in a lot of religions that, marriage is a religious rite or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for a really long time. So they've come up with some pretty good things. And one of the things is you want to do a kind of all points division of labor. Like, hey,
that should be in the agreement.
Who in your household did the laundry, the dad or the mom? Who in your household cooked the meals or washed the dishes or whatever? So you don't get in this situation where your expectations aren't being met because you never talked about these things that you don't know until you cohabitate.
And it should have been in the agreement also.
Yeah.
And, you're supposed to have the shareholder meetings, and you can update those things because all of a sudden maybe someone's role changes.
Yep.
But you have to have that agreement. Okay,
or like,
who's doing the laundry?
This is now we've got merch.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of merch?
Who's in charge of merch? It has to be fully documented and laid out.
Right.
Then everyone knows what to expect. And and Chris was learning, dude. And to his credit, dude, he jumped in, and he's good at being a boss, dude.
Yeah.
He's a boss,
And
he's a bossy dude that does a good job being a boss.
And you're at a later stage in your life, and you're a little more go with the flow, so you can.
Well, and also pick and choose when you're going to have an issue, because some things are so not worth it.
Yeah.
Like to fight over, is this T-shirt the one to go with or something? Like, bro, just whatever one you like, dope. What sells is dope, and what doesn't. Figure out that way. But if you like that, dude, go for that. Like at Tech 9, I've designed so many different products that I don't have to be a dude that's like, oh, I designed that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you'll learn that that's really irrelevant. And I like to look at a brand and figure out ways to push a needle. And the needle being pushed isn't like one T-shirt. It's like building a leg of the table that actually like created a revenue stream that keeps you up. You know,
do a good job on the merch, not just to do a good job on one T-shirt.
Well, it's got to be the whole merch, and how are you going to sell that? How are you going to roll that out?
Yeah,
and like, what's your plan for it, and where are you going to, make sure your margins are good. When we put out the first one, no one even looks at margins, but you know what I mean? But it's got to be all looked at. You got to have your landed cost and know exactly what you're dealing with, because then otherwise you might be spinning wheels and then you just lost a bunch of money.
So you being the business guy who's done this before, how did that not fall into the category of your plate?
It's just like wanted to figure out his way and learn from that, and you know what I mean? Cool. And
now we're getting kind of into the nitty gritty of what's going on.
And I don't even want to go into the nitty gritty because, Chris did a great job.
Yeah.
And it's evident the shit works great, But
Absolutely.
You can't have two people being
can't
like,
have the two.
You got to do this, you got to do that.
Right.
And it's like, you got to have a clear leader. And he's a leader. Chris is a leader.
And by the time you guys do this contract a few months in.
No, we didn't even do it. It didn't really get done.
Oh, okay. So
there's no real contract.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But the agreement was essentially like some division of ownership where you were a lesser owner.
Well, yeah, no, from the beginning, I was like, I told you, he helped me a little bit financially.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know if we talked about this off air or on, but I was like working with magazines and shooting photos, and the magazines are disappearing, and my income's disappearing. And Chris is he's a boss snowboarder making a good income.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't have the ability to be able to work full time and still be able to do what I need to do. So he gave me a chunk of money, and it was able to help me like get back up on bills where I needed to be. And it was huge, dude. That alone
got you out of a small hole you were
no
dug
question,
into.
dude. You should definitely have 10% more than me, And I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of percents and this and that.
Yeah.
But and then another deal was worked out that changed the percents, but it was all accounted for and cool. And he wanted more percent.
Right.
And like going into it, he's like, that was something he wanted. And I think he had a concrete business where everyone had the same percent. Yeah. And that's a problem kind of too, because I think it creates situations.
There's no leader.
It gets weird. You need to have a clear leader, and I'll back Chris on that 100%.
And in your situation at the time was, we've already talked about it. He's bought the equipment. He's put it in his garage. He paid the $60. He built the desk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, it was like he had the money. I didn't have the money.
Right.
That alone is always going to get someone more shares.
Of course.
Any scenario.
Right.
And I knew that people should know that.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are coming in, you might be some big dog that he needed in to be part of this thing as an athlete, and it made it cooler. Yeah. The guy with the money still is going to get more shares because he's putting out that risk, and you're not. And you don't get extra points just for being whoever you are that's getting pulled in. So it's like that's a really common thing with business. And
so when you guys move into the offices, obviously that's a cost that is not coming out of your pocket or Chris's pocket. He's managing the money. And are you involved in those money management decisions?
I wasn't, and that was kind of a bummer for me because I would have liked to sat there and then had this debate, like, how much are we going to spend? Is it the right thing? Or do we really need to move with this employee and pay him that much money? Is there a smarter way to do it? Or is this the right thing to do? And that wasn't happening, and so that already started to create probably a little undertone of a disagreement.
So like he's filling the warehouse with people that he works well with.
Yes. And maybe we're I don't know, was everyone needed? And he'll have a different point of view, like, you weren't stepping up and doing it probably, and that's totally fair.
Right.
And so it's just like, I guess, a difference of looking at things and how to do it and what his vision for the thing was. Because I think maybe when we sat down and did it, I didn't think we were going to need to go so fast and get this employee, that employee, move into a thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that is part of me sitting back and looking at snowboarding And I've seen there's a couple different ways to do things.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Mike West with 686. This guy's built up a brand where he never had to get an investor.
Rad.
He did it slow. He did it right.
Yeah.
And now he's one of the biggest outerwear companies in our business.
This shit is awesome.
And I just love that. You know, Never Summer is kind of the same way.
Totally.
But I was part of Tech 9 where it was the total opposite. And we haven't had to go get money from people. But with snowboard companies, you know, Tech 9, we go to a trade show, and our first trade show, we have this $500,000 order from Japan.
Yeah.
Where do we get $250,000? Like, what are we gonna do? So we had to go get money.
Yeah.
And luckily, podcasting's different. We didn't have to, like, Chris and I never had to like take out a loan, get credit card that was gonna like fund things, or call somebody up.
Mortgages your houses or any of that.
Yeah, and people have to do that with brands, you know. And
yeah, you guys struck some success.
yeah,
and he's making these money decisions, which.
Somebody's going to make them.
For all intents and purposes, seem to be elevating the show to this
and that was another big
level.
That was another big thing in my mind was something's happening here. I mean, I worked at enough businesses to be like, it's actually pretty rare to have a business just skyrocket the way we did.
Very rare.
Yeah, it's very, very rare.
Yeah.
And so I had this theory in my mind, like, fuck, we don't want to fuck with anything here. Like, holy shit, like, something's going on that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that, like, I don't know, you just don't, certain things are going a certain way, you don't want to fuck with them.
I got you.
And that, what my opinion was, the answers, or he was doing things were working, let's keep going, you know?
Yeah.
But then, you know, it turns into what it turns into. And
well, did anything change when you went into the studios? Like, I would imagine it would have been kind of exciting because now you've got this giant space.
That kind of shit was cool.
Yeah.
Having that space down there.
You got the landing zone for like where you got merch for sale and you got people coming in off the street like, hey man,
it was really, really cool.
Like some listener came in and was like, yeah, I'm in Salt Lake City. I just came in to say hi, and he saw you and his eyes get big, and he's like, and I remember.
And people were coming in a lot. It was really, really cool.
It was super cool, man.
I mean, it's just like little riffs, just I guess turned bigger, and they all probably could have been fine. It probably could have worked out, but I think at the end of the day, you have two people that maybe have a boss mentality. It's gonna freaking like it's like, you know, it's like a rock and a wall.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, there's some Batman quote about I don't know what it is, but it's about like an immovable force and I don't know what it is, but it's a dope quote. I'll put it up on the screen. But it's like at the end of the day,
how does it change for you when you guys move in there? Nothing at all. Now you're just going to a different place.
There's changes. All of a sudden, there's all these meetings. There's this and that, and I mean, I don't want to talk bad about how anything was ran and all that, because at the end of the day, he was doing his best.
Yeah, and that doesn't
and
sound
it is what
bad.
it is.
That sounds like meetings sound like relevant. And
no, they're relevant until they're spinning the wheels and what, you know what I mean? But there's, you know, there's just, it's just getting, all of a sudden there's like I mean, I don't even want to talk about all this stuff. Chris was doing a great job. Yeah. And it was working. Shit was dope. For the most part, we were both having a great time. I mean, we had years of going on rad trips. And having a really great relationship that was deeper than, you know, a lot of friends and like a family, more than a family member, even just really tight relationship. I joked he was like my father, my younger father. I'm not tight with my father. Right. Chris sometimes acted like my father.
I got you.
Yeah, so nothing but respect.
Yes.
And
so did you move into the office, your office? Like, was your office ever like a functional place that you worked out of?
Well, I moved into it more so the work for me is the podcast. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I mean.
That's my office for real.
Like, you were invited to make a space in here, and you're like, I've never had an office away from my home office.
Yeah,
I'm good.
It's like I do good work in there. The meetings, whatever is cool. Cool.
Tell me when you want me.
Let's film a commercial. That's cool.
Right. I'm there.
And then someone else was put in my office, which was cool. But I'm like a loud talker. Yeah. And it's like I'd rather just go home and do that kind of work. Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure. And you're still showing up for all the episodes. Like, it's like, hey, you guys are doing a great job shipping the merch and doing all these things and coming up with these ideas. Tell me where I need to be and when.
Yeah.
Like, give me the time and I'll be here.
Yeah, and he would give a time, and it would be like an hour before. I'm not the most prompt person, so sometimes I'd be like 10 minutes late, this minute's late. And Chris is a dude who's late to him is 10 minutes before, you know?
I got
and
you.
So he made a funny statement that, like, as talking about two bosses and splitting up, he's like, dude, like, you don't want to freaking come in and have me yell at you for being 2 minutes late.
Right.
And, like, you don't want to deal with that. And I don't want to deal with you. You know what I mean? Just the whole thing. Like, neither of us.
I don't want to just understand.
That dude.
I need you to understand that you need to be here early because
he like gets nervous in
early.
his head because it's got to be like this, and this.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't want to yell at you for 2 minutes late. You don't want to be like, you shouldn't even 2 minutes late. What is 2 minutes late? But I'm just that guy that's like, every 2 minutes late. I hate that. It makes him boil inside because it's just like certain things have to be a certain way.
Okay.
And he even said that. He's just like, you know, we both have a different vision, and that's a problem, you know? And it would have gotten worse and worse and worse and worse over the years, you know?
But it didn't really get that bad.
It wasn't.
You weren't really at that stage.
It was getting there slowly. And it just, I could tell down the road it would have been better.
And I can
doing different businesses.
I can tell right now that we're at this most awkward part, and I don't know how we transition.
Let's transition.
So, but I think where we have to go now is
I'm Ethan. I'm an addict. Let's go.
Let's go. What's the first time you did drugs? Can you remember? And I mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, did you drink coffee as a toddler?
Oh, dude, I drank
coffee
as a toddler. Like,
what's
not the coffee, more alcohol, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I remember shit, and I don't want nothing against my mom, but I was that kid that wouldn't sleep.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And they would give me a little aperitif.
Oh, fuck.
Irish mist, I remember.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude, a little aperitif to put me to sleep at like a young age.
Here's a little drink for
this will
young
put him to
Ethan.
sleep. Yeah.
Are we talking grade 7 or are we talking like grade 2?
Shit, we might be talking like grade 2, like young.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's messed up. And apparently that, it's not normal. It is what it is.
Apparently.
Yeah. You learn that after the fact.
Yeah, my mom did say they put brandy on the soother.
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing, like for the teeth. They put it in the teeth, and
I don't think. and I do remember.
And it's supposed to help.
I do remember a friend telling the story of Christmas lemonade, which Christmas lemonade was neocitrin.
What's neocitrin?
Neocitrin is like drowsy, cold, and flu medicine.
Ah, got you.
So they would give it to the kids on Christmas, and they would fall asleep. And so the girl was sick one time as an adult at her friend's house, and said, the friend's like, "Oh, I'll make you some neocitrin." And they were like,
"Yeah,
this tastes like Christmas lemonade." And the friend was like, "What the fuck is Christmas lemonade?"
Dude, like, what?
And they realized their parents had drugged them every
at Christmas was drugging them so they could fall asleep and not see Santa. Maybe
exactly, man. So yeah, no.
So parents, they trying their hardest.
Yeah,
I don't think they meant anything about it.
Obviously not.
Because like I told you, I ended up remembering a memory of like my grandfather letting me sip his Canadian 7.
Yeah.
Or 7 and 7 is a cocktail, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I smelled 7 and 7, I would associate my grandfather. I never knew why until recently. I had that memory. He was giving me sips, and it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And to him,
Right.
And it would be just me and him. He was like watching me or something. And I don't even know where my brother was or sister.
It's like a bonding thing. It's like
him is like he didn't. I don't think we hung out with him that much. He was pretty old. He had emphysema.
Yep.
Maybe he knew he was on his way out and
with
wanted
the breathing machine.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
He had the nose thing with a tank.
Oh wow!
And maybe that was his like bonding, and he wanted that time.
It's like, here, little guy, have a rip on this. This is the good stuff. Yeah.
And or being at a parent's party, and going around and cleaning up all the ends of the wounded soldiers
as a child,
and everyone laughing at it.
Right, as a child. So let's because I think what we come out with after this conversation is that your show is relatively fully formed. That you built something huge with the bomb hole. Absolutely, you were a constructor of that thing.
Yes.
And you're building something new. And in this new thing, you want to include support for people who are going
that
through.
Need it. Yeah.
Or that.
And I'll get there for sure.
Yeah. And
I think that's huge, and I want them to be able to know they can reach out.
And I think what we...
And I'll talk to every single one of them.
Yes, exactly. I think what we require to do here is to... Now we're returning to the beginning of what we were talking about before, but like what was going on for you behind the scenes.
Yes.
Because that wasn't a part of the bomb hole. Nobody knew.
No one.
Nobody knew, right?
Yeah, or even like at the
people might have wondered about it and asked.
I think only close people, like Chris.
Sure.
Or people I spend time with.
Right.
Like Bodie, Chris.
Right. But
that's it. And even Chris was so unsure, like he didn't even know, had no clue.
So we're so far.
That would just disappear on the weekends, and that made Chris wonder what was going on. But to be honest, I think as you get older, you do that anyways, and Chris will get there too, you know? Because he does the same thing, but doesn't. It's like when it's on your time. It depends whose time it's on, you know? Because at 5 o'clock, like I said, Friday, his computer's there.
Right.
It's not coming with him.
Right.
And on the weekend, mine, I'm out, you know, like especially if I had like a big week of shooting and doing an episode, like I turn on my phone, dude, you're probably not gonna get a hold of me.
Yeah.
And he took that as, oh my God, is he okay? You know what I mean?
When really it's, okay. So I think we went all the way back to the grandpa story and
But we could cut into maybe just move through it kind of quickly or.
Let's start
involvement
like,
of drugs.
Yeah, let's start at like high school.
High school,
or
yeah,
something.
that's what I was thinking.
Because by high school, there's a social aspect of drinking and drugs that is, you know, you're living in the States. In Canada, we could start drinking legally at 19. So like we were coming down to the States having, you know, like left the bar the night before and go on a road trip. We're 20 years old and we're not allowed to go into bars and shit.
Yeah.
And it feels weird. And
dude, I was running up to Montreal, Club Super Sex.
Right.
You know
That's
I mean?
18. That's 18. So one of the things that I noticed was that because there's this prohibition in the United States to 21.
Prohibition.
You got 18 years old to 21 years old where you're kind of on your own. Like it's illegal to get beer, and it's illegal to get weed, and it's illegal to get, and everything's kind of.
And we were getting it though.
But you're not a kid when you're 18.
No, you're supposed to be a man. So in Australia, dude, they're drinking hard.
You could go to war, and you're.
That's what's messed up.
You know what I mean? You could get married. You could have a kid.
You can be
do all this
drafted.
shit. You could be drafted, and you're fucking not allowed to drink.
We'll give you a gun. We'll send you out to this country, but damn, don't have that beer.
But by making that shit illegal, I remember coming to visit my friends in Massachusetts. And it was mostly about getting weed. It just seemed easier than going and trying to get the booze.
Yeah. Well, dude, we were shoulder tapping. You call it Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah.
We're out, dude, you go down to the Chevron on whatever street and good place for shoulder tapping. And, you like get your money all together and you see someone that looks like he might be cool.
Kind of cool.
Hey, bro, grab me a couple 40s.
Can
you get me some Mad Dog 2020?
Or a store.
A
couple 40s. We drank 40s down here all the time.
40s, dude. And the rap music.
I just watched
pushing
Juice.
those 40s on you.
They're drinking fucking 40s.
We got the juice now.
Yeah, we got the juice now.
But we were shoulder tapping. We were buying weed. We were getting mushrooms. We were getting LSD.
Can you remember your first time getting high on weed?
I can.
Yeah. What was going on?
I was in 7th grade. So I moved. My parents got divorced.
Okay.
And it was a good thing that they got divorced because, they were fighting like crazy. They were done.
Okay.
And they made an agreement. We're going to get divorced when your brother goes to college or whatever.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I guess he got that or whatever, but is that better? No. Dude. Because they're fighting like crazy.
Got you.
And that is also an issue with Grenier and I. He likes to get in a fight and yell. East Coast, Boston. My mom used to yell. Okay. I don't like to be around that. Like, my wife will tell you too, like, I don't fight like that. I'm very calm. We're going to have a conversation. Yeah. And yelling's not down.
Okay.
people that like to yell, like, I'm out. I would just rather not get into it. It's like, if you're gonna yell like that, dude, what's the point? We're not getting anything done. But some people like to yell. It's like they'll yell back and forth.
I'm the opposite. I grew up in a family where we yelled about everything. Hey, could you bring me some water over here? What's the hold up?
And in the East Coast and the States, it's like that.
And then the person that's bringing the water, go get your water yourself.
Fuck you, why don't you get your water? But they're getting you the water.
Yeah, it's always yelling. It was always yelling. So my wife is not a yeller.
Yeah.
And so if I yell at her, she like crumbles.
When I don't crumble, I'm just out.
Yeah.
I just tune out.
Yeah.
So if Chris and I were getting into it and he brings an East Coast yell starts happening, I'm tuned out.
You're tuned out.
I'm just, this conversation is not even for me. This isn't even worth it. I'm out.
I got you.
Unless it's so important.
So the divorce had a big effect on you, obviously.
Yes. It's like, the yelling, the parents yelling.
What year did
Well, you know what's funny is I didn't think it had a big effect. Like, you find that out later. But my parents yelling sucked. I didn't like that. Like, belittling each other. That kills me. It's like, dude, what's the... Yeah. And when I hear couples belittle each other in ways that you can't take back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like you're going to be divorced at some point. And usually they are. Yeah. Because when you say those things you can't take back, it's like...
Fuck, I've done.
You can't take them back.
The problem is I've done them with my wife. We have a relationship that.
And I don't want to say you're getting divorced, but I just say it's not
we're
good.
not.
It's not healthy.
We're not gonna, and it is unhealthy. And I wish we didn't have that. And
yeah,
we're working on it as a couple. And so I don't know why I interjected
it sucks.
with that.
No, it sucks, dude. And anyone who's in a relationship, think about that. You can't take it back. And they would do that. And it's like, they're never getting back together. And that's tough. So, I think it's better for a couple to get divorced. Don't stay together for the kids because I don't think you're doing them any favors. You're probably making it worse.
What age were you when they split?
It was, I just finished 7th grade, I think. So it was like going into 8th grade. Okay. Don't know the age bracket.
Sure. So you're smoking weed
14.
The first time when they're fighting.
I got pulled to Vermont. The fight's over because my mom, she was happy. But she is still a little, like, dealing with depression. And I don't want to, it's not bipolar, it's more depression.
I got you.
And maybe that's why they're fighting so much. And one day she found the right medication, and all of a sudden she was just chill. Oh, wow. And maybe they probably still would have fought. They were out of love. But it's awesome to see that change, because it kind of ran in the family. My sister had it as well. And once you get the right medication, boom, just chill. And not chill, like just balanced. Like, wow, some people have chemical deficiencies. It's not built right. And this medication is going to help that. And that's great. So,
absolutely.
So if you're one of those people out there, go get the doctor appointment, figure it out, and get the right meds, because it could change your life like it did for my mom, my sister.
Yep.
And so we moved to Vermont. I was hyped, dude, because I had found snowboarding as a flatlander in Connecticut.
Amazing. That's unbelievable.
And, I get in a Burton board every year. It's all I knew. What was
your first board? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Cruiser 165. Burton Cruise 165.
That's big.
Or no, 155. Sorry, the blue one.
The little guy.
So my buddy got the 65.
It's still big.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was dope, dude. I was so hyped. And,
sick.
And then we were skiing in Vermont. We'd do family trips. And then we'd go to Manchester, Vermont. And, Jake Burton would be there working in their showroom with his crew. I mean, he wouldn't be there all the time, but he'd be there. And it was awesome, dude, get a new board. And so I found out we're moving to Vermont. Yep. I was just like, damn, dude, like snowboarding, this is on. But I'll tell you what, moving when you're going into 8th grade, dude, that's like a pretty formative time in your life. So you have to start over, no friends. No friends on the powder day, bro. You have to start over with no friends at a time that's like pretty crucial. You should be breaking into that time where you're about to like meet all these ladies finally as more of a man.
Hell yeah.
Not like, oh fuck, I gotta meet everybody right now and start fresh.
I got you.
If you know what I mean,
Yeah, it's a tough time to move.
Yeah, and I think luckily for me, I'm a pretty outgoing person, more so now probably than then. But, I was able to make friends. For my sister, it was a lot harder, move to a new place. She ended up making friends and all that, but it's a hard age to do that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go from your parents being married, and my dad was making good money, and all of a sudden we're poor, like moving to Vermont. And my mom's like income as like working at a nurse's office behind a desk, you know, as like a nurse's office, and not, you know, the income was way different, you know, and like before, like, oh, you need a board, we'll go get a board once a year for Christmas. With my mom running the show, she's doing the best she could for us, and we never wanted for nothing, you know, we always had shoes. But you want a board, dude, you better go get a job and get a board. And that was cool, dude. Like, ended up becoming a dishwasher underage, so I could get that board and go to Mount Hood and do all the things I want to do, dude. You know?
Sick.
And then the parents would always help, too, slip a couple Hunsky here and there.
Nice.
But I definitely, I don't know if I was rebellious or what was going on, but I definitely didn't fall in with the right crowd. I don't know. But also, my class wasn't that big. It was only 100 people.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, maybe everyone was not, right crowd might have been real small.
Yeah. But also, you think about, like, your snowboarding. You skateboard as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're skating and snowboarding.
I was hyped.
It's very, very close to drug culture, right?
Yes.
Because it's kind of counterculture. It's like you're
like
being
especially back then,
you're
right?
being subversive back then.
Yeah.
You're choosing something that's not the like mainstream thing.
Not playing hockey with the rest of Vermonters because we live close to Canada.
Yeah. You're not kicking the soccer ball around. You're at a skate park.
I was kicking the hacky sack, smoking the fucking
sack.
blunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
So when's the first time you smoked some weed?
yeah. So I remember I kind of got in with the older dudes for some reason. I don't know why. I always had friends that were older, which was interesting. I don't know what the significance of that is because now I have friends that are younger, so it's and older, I guess.
Yeah.
And I remember they like somehow we got a nickel bag or something.
Yep.
You know, you're in Vermont, dude. It's like hippie culture.
Okay.
I feel like if I was in Connecticut, who knows what went down.
Right.
I mean, the drugs are everywhere. But in Vermont, it's like hippie, free living, and a lot of weed. So I remember in 7th grade, we got that small bag of weed and we smoked it out of a can or something, like shittiest way. And I didn't even really get baked, but I guess you don't the first time, maybe.
I got fucked the first time, but yeah. Oh my God.
So, you know, but I smoked it and I liked it. It was fun because I didn't really know a lot of people. So all of a sudden now I had these dudes. I can go
it's kind
smoke
of a
weed
bonding
with.
thing too at that time in your life. Like, are you down? Are you down with this? Yeah.
And then they took me. They kind of took me in a little bit. These older dudes. They had a fucking garage band.
Wow.
And they played the Misfits, dude. And they needed a singer. Guess who became their singer? Like back to the mic thing. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I was like the singer of a fucking garage Misfits band.
That's incredible.
And it was fucking incredible. I loved it. And I mostly listened to like, actually back in my youth, I listened to all sorts of rad shit, different shit from The Cure to the Misfits to Eazy-E and rap music.
That's fucking awesome.
But yeah, so all of a sudden I'm freaking, these kids are like 3 years older than me and I'm the singer. I'm fucking Danzig all of a sudden. I'm the killer wolf over there, Danzig. And that shit was fucking awesome. And, you know, they're older. We're drinking. We're smoking. And then in Vermont, for sure, it's like the weekends turn... As I get more in... I think because I was friends with these older kids. One, hallucinogenics started popping up.
Okay.
And two, the kids at my age were just like, fuck, who's this guy hanging out with the older dudes? So I was able to meet people really easy.
Okay.
And also, I guess I'm just social.
You are. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw you,
know
at
what's
the
cool,
drive-through and everything today. It's just like the lady at the counter. Like, whoever you're talking to, you're fully present. You're talking to them in a nice way.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
One thing that's cool, I moved to Vermont. The first homie I became friends with, dude, and this has nothing to do with weed or anything. It's just a funny story. I become friends with this dude, Eric Hart, and I just met him in school, and we're, we hit it off and became friends. And it was interesting. He's like an early friend because when I got into high school, I mean, we were acquaintances, but I guess he didn't really skate or snowboard. He skated, if I remember correctly, but he didn't snowboard, and I was like drifting towards snowboarding. Fast forward to a month, 2 months ago,
What?
This fool donated like $500 to the fucking podcast.
That's
dude.
amazing.
And I say fool in the most loving way possible.
Of course.
Because Eric does so huge. It's so cool.
It's
really just
sick.
like, wow, dude, that's cool. And but anyways, yeah. So like, garage band, and all of a sudden you're watching Pink Floyd, and you're fucking
Yeah.
taking LSD.
Once you start getting into those,
dude, with these older dudes,
those bigger drug experiences like LSD, you kind of feel. Sorry, I can't speak for you.
Yeah.
For me, it felt like I had crossed a barrier that I really couldn't go back. I couldn't go back and tell my parents, like, I did all these drugs, I really liked them, and I'm on a course of maybe and I wasn't afraid that those drugs were going to lead to some. Maybe I was.
What's funny is everyone told you like weed was a gateway drug.
Right.
Maybe it is. I don't know. I always said it wasn't.
Well, it is in the
social
way that
aspect or the act of doing drugs or
that at the time when it's illegal, and I forget it's fucking illegal here, right?
Weed?
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
In
These
Utah.
cops will just love to.
So like,
They'll take you in, dog.
So you're joining a counterculture.
You want to catch a case? Woo.
Yeah, you're literally putting yourself outside the social safety net of society.
Yes.
So as a child, that's fucking a weird place to exist.
Yeah. And what's funny is I didn't even think about that, man, because I don't know what it is about when you're younger and the smells are so much more vibrant.
Hell yeah.
The effects of weed, like, and I don't know if it's just because I'm looking back as a memory.
Sure.
But that shit was dope.
It was so good.
I hate to say it, but it was fucking awesome.
It was great.
And I ended up doing good in school and whatever. So it wasn't like I was a deadbeat. It wasn't like that commercial with the egg in the pan. Like,
no, you're learning
this is your brain.
thing. You're learning this thing is fun and manageable and like it's building friendships.
Yeah.
It's social. There's a lot of positivity around if you're around the right people.
Yeah.
So you're describing these people both at once as the right crowd and the wrong crowd. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're choosing a path that's not going to be, buttoned up, businessman, lawyer.
Definitely not.
Right?
Yeah.
But is that really a bad thing?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think it is. And
hanging
hanging with those crews too led to like meeting up with the skaters where all of a sudden I'm like leaving Colchester, Vermont, where I lived, and going to Burlington and like skating for the night. And that was sick, dude. Like that was dope. Like being all of a sudden you're old enough to make that move. Like you're in a car on your way with older kids, you're too young to drive.
Yeah.
And you're fucking just skiing around Burlington for the evening.
And you can hang and you can smoke a bit of weed. That even makes it better.
You might even eat some mushrooms.
Eat a bit of mushrooms, and now you're on a trip, and now everybody's having a fucking
and then it's so much fun.
Day to remember. Right.
And it definitely sucks you in, and then all of a sudden you're like, you're in your own grade, and there's these every weekend someone's having a party.
Big party,
and everyone's drinking until they puke.
Totally.
And you remember those first times you drank too much, you just projectile fucking
that lasted
drinking.
For me for way too long.
Yeah. And I feel like I drank, man, I must have drank from the time I started until like I don't drink. I stopped drinking a bit ago.
Yeah.
Because of I'm allergic to beer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I used to like is really high-end alcohol.
Yeah, like the nice stuff.
Yeah, that shit is
mezcal.
Dope.
I still love
when
mezcal.
You get some fucking like $300 bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Reed Smith got me one once for getting him a cover. It's like that's the last super high-end one I got, and that shit is so good, dude. It's like tasty. Such a difference.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that, buying it, and drinking too much whiskey.
Right.
You're not gonna get drunk off that kind of shit. I mean, you're gonna get you're gonna sip it.
Sure.
But it's different than I'm getting fucked up tonight. You don't go buy a fucking $300 bottle of whiskey.
Go.
Yeah, that's not how it's going down.
Fight somebody right now. No,
not on the fucking gentleman's whiskey.
No.
And so, I just kind of ended up stopping drinking. But man, I must have gone from fucking 16 to fucking 42 and drank almost every night. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
I hear you. I was on and off. I think. What was it like by the end of high school? Like, what had you tried by graduation, or did you graduate? You graduated?
Yeah, I actually graduated a half year early.
Yeah,
and I worked
so you're
towards
a good
that
student,
so I could move out west.
Killer.
So I was out geez, I must have been in 11th grade that winter.
Yeah.
Somehow I was able to go on a trip. It's funny because I don't remember how this happened or how it worked. Maybe it didn't really happen. Maybe I made it up. Somehow, before I graduated, I was able to go to Breckenridge.
Okay.
And I find myself at a party.
Yeah.
Tarquin Robbins is DJing.
Oh, my God.
And I'm at a house party. And I meet him, and we become buds. And then next thing I know, he doesn't drink or do any alcohol or smoke weed or anything. Dope dude. But you're in, I don't know if you've ever drank in Breckenridge if you're coming from the flatlands. That elevation will fuck you up. I just remember meeting Tarquin, having this great fucking time. And then next thing I know, I'm like outside dying from fucking alcohol poisoning almost because it's the elevation. And when I say dying, I just mean puking my guts out.
Totally.
But yeah, I met Tarquin, and that trip was just like, fuck, dude, this place is insane. Like, what is this world here? Like, what's Breckenridge? Like, this is sick.
Right.
All of a sudden, you're in a land of new school snowboarding. And that would have been right at the time where they're filming Hard, Hungry, and Homeless.
Oh,
it was that year.
Yeah, that's perfect timing. I want to just say before we start this very important part of the show that my philosophy on drugs is actually something that I took from a book called From Chocolate to Morphine.
Yeah.
And it was written by a very smart dude.
Who, because is chocolate a drug?
Yes. Dr. Andrew Weil. Dr. Andrew Weil. And his philosophy is that there's no bad drugs. There are drugs that are more difficult to have relationships with than others.
I don't know.
But that there's no bad drugs. That drugs are inherently neutral, right?
It's how your relationship goes.
And there are some that are really hard to have relationships with.
Did he write that before meth came out?
Yeah. No. Methamphetamine.
No, yeah, if you look at methamphetamine, and then it was crystal meth.
Yeah.
And then it just became meth somehow.
Well, the thing about methamphetamine, crystal meth, and meth, they're all the same thing.
No, that's what I mean. They're the same thing. It's just so weird. Who's the marketing director of Drug Inc.?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Right. Crystal meth, it probably was like, that doesn't sound as bad as like what it is.
You know what the funny thing about crystal meth is that it's the second half of MDMA.
Yeah.
Which is so methamphetamine. Weird. Yeah, but it's, and MDMA, people are like, you can use it for therapy and it's great for post-traumatic stress in veterans.
But the problem with meth is it's made from like gasoline and freaking cold medicine.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like the ingredients will melt out your insides.
Wow, like, see, that seems to me like old
listen to
drug
this
stuff.
Listen to this. I found this out recently. And it happened to T-Bird, actually. So in Utah, 1 out of 4 houses test positive for meth.
What?
Fact. Most of them are within that range where it's okay. Doesn't matter. But when you're buying a house...
There's an okay amount of methamphetamine?
There's an okay, and I forget what it is. It's like a very trace amount.
Sure.
That would mean it was a light smoker, basically.
So it's okay to be a light smoker?
No, I mean it's like an okay amount to have your kids in the same house.
Oh, shit.
When someone smokes meth in the house, it never goes away.
Oh,
ever.
I see. So
if you're past the threshold,
you
have to rip everything down. Everything.
This
the flooring,
insane.
The walls,
wow.
The brick would have to go. Everything, single open surface, ceiling, everything. Done, out, ripped out. It's extremely expensive, and that would be a cooker.
Oh, of course.
They were making the meth, or wicked hardcore smokers, like a group of them.
Yeah,
it's like a nest.
Yeah,
a nest of meth addicts.
But the problem with the meth thing is that no one ever talks about the functioning meth addicts, because there are some people that.
Yeah, but you know what I think they are? My theory, because J2 was like that. Mm-hmm. He was that dude. You could do cocaine with J2, and he is asleep on a rock.
Wow.
And what that is so who do they give Adderall to, you know?
Yeah.
They give Adderall to a certain person, and Adderall takes them and makes them chill normal.
I probably would have been a candidate for that because I was such a hyper person.
So you're hyper, give this guy some Adderall, he can chill out.
Yeah.
You give me Adderall, it's the same as cocaine. It's legal. It's not legal, or it's legal because it can be whatever. But people, you chop up and snort Adderall, it's cocaine. It's the same freaking thing.
Yeah,
and has the same effect. But if J2 does, he goes to sleep.
Yeah, for me, cocaine was like it feels the same as having a coffee.
Yeah,
but like a lot of.
So
coffees.
there it is. Yeah. And so maybe your J2 is a little further than you on it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't mean it like that. I mean it like it does what it's supposed to do.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I start telling you that like,
And so with J2, it makes him feel normal.
Right,
And
right.
And there's people that are like that. And so are those
that's my point. That's what I'm saying.
Are they the functioning?
The drug isn't bad. It just is a hard thing to be in a relationship with.
Yeah.
If a drug makes you crave it nightly, it's probably not the best drug for you to be a part of. You know what I mean? Like,
but isn't
you are going to have a hard relationship
like that?
Not
and our opiates have to be like that?
I don't think for everyone. Now, I don't want to come across as thinking that I'm some sort of expert in drugs because I read one fucking book.
Yeah, I think opiates, though, you have to or else you get sick, you know? I don't think meth and cocaine, you don't get sick. It's mental. Is what I've heard.
There's a physical addiction to coffee, and the time to get addicted to things is very quickly with cigarettes and cocaine.
But cigarettes
heroin.
too, it's mental. It's like,
but
and
heroin
cigarettes
has that.
Still fucking like, I almost get a picture of one in my head and I can smell it, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, it's attached to dopamine is the thing. Read Dopamine Nation, and it gives you an idea about what we're actually going for. But there's. Okay, I'm not going to talk drugs because I'm really not that smart at it. But I mean, my philosophy is that because someone's on drugs doesn't default to they're a piece of shit, or that they're a write-off, or that they're anything.
I think that's a horrible way to think because you got to remember that it's a disease. They're saying now, like we talked about how it could be alcoholism. They're saying could be hereditarily passed. You know.
Yeah.
And it's officially a disease. Like in USA and Canada, it's treated as a disability. So if you are a drug addict and you choose to go to rehab, you come back. Any business over a certain size, I think it's 10 employees, or especially a government one, they can't fire you.
Right.
Because you have a disability. So it's America's Disability Act. And so the fact that the research shows that it's like a disability, that means it'd be crazy to say that, that person's a piece of shit. No. You know? They got caught up in something that maybe stems from trauma or hereditary stuff. And I don't know the answers. I think everyone's different.
But I don't think that in practice there's I don't think that in practice people treat addicts like as though that it's someone with a disease.
Yeah,
I think they treat them like
it's hard. It's all different. It's all across the spectrum.
When your disease is something that you got like a pleasure from, or that you did, you know what I mean?
Dude, it's a trippy thing to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it's kind of like breaking your leg skateboarding and then going in and trying to get some. Well, you were fucking skateboarding.
Yeah, but maybe you were like predisposed to head that way. You know what I mean? And like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's like a trippy thing to wrap your head around the disease part of it.
And then by the end of high school, you've tried, mushrooms and acid and weed, basically some hash maybe or something.
Oh, definitely. Hash is weed.
Hash is just weed.
Yeah. So, but by the end of high school, you know what's crazy, dude? It felt like an after-school special. I remember the first time that. Well, first of all, let's talk about this in health class. When they go through the drugs, I remember when they brought up cocaine.
Yes.
It was fucking sounded like this nightmare that they fucking created about like you're gonna do it and you're gonna get a hole in your nose.
Hole in the nose.
You're basically ruined. Your life's over.
You're gonna go crazy.
You're done.
You're done.
And I remember
one and done. Once and you're addicted for life.
It was fucking insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember being so scared.
Yeah.
Like weed's a natural thing. And I remember being at a Colchester High School party, and there got word out that someone showed up with cocaine. Yeah. And it was the biggest fucking, like, we were so upset. that someone would bring cocaine to Colchester.
Right.
Because it was so horrible.
Yeah.
And we kicked the dude out and fucking like we were going to beat the shit out of this dude.
Meanwhile, you guys are doing weed.
We're smoking weed. We're probably on LSD and mushrooms. And who knows what else.
Get out of here, you drug addict freak.
Crazy cokehead. What are you doing coming to Colchester with coke?
Unbelievable.
So yeah, we kicked this dude's ass. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't kick his ass. We
nobody on weed's ever
it felt
kicked
like,
anyone's
as
ass.
I look back, it's like an after-school special. I remember being with some chicks. I mean, oh my god, he's got cocaine. Like holy shit, he's a cokehead.
Yeah.
And so I left thinking like, yeah, that's horrible. That's a fucking crazy drug. Fast forward, I'm living in Vail, Colorado. You get to a mountain town, dude. It's fucking like built out of cocaine, pretty much.
We love white
Is it
powder.
snow or is that cocaine?
Right.
You know, night skiing isn't going night skiing when there's no lights on the fucking mountain. It's like mountains of cocaine.
Oh wow.
Tony Montana.
Yeah.
But anyways, my neighbor, you live in, you pack 8 people into a 2-bedroom. Vail's expensive. Back then, it's worse now. But there's snowboarders, there's skiers. There's guys who moved in from maybe Peru or Mexico, and we're 10 deep, they're 10 deep. Turns out they're just chopping cocaine and living there with their kids. And this dude, Miguel or something, comes down to our apartment, and he's like, dude, there's kids up there. Can I, weigh my cocaine here in your apartment?
Oh, wow.
And we're just like, what the fuck? Weigh cocaine? And, sure, dude, whatever, drunk.
Yeah.
And the dude comes in, he's weighing us cocaine, and we're just watching him because we were chill with him. He was our neighbor. Didn't expect anything, and then when he left, he just gave us a bunch, and we're just
wow.
fuck. And then he tried, and you're like, this isn't what they told me it was.
Right.
And that was the first time I tried cocaine, and then you realize that shit's pretty mellow, and I'm not trying to glamorize anything for anyone because it's what's crazy in what you say about drugs and it's really different people have different effects. For me, cocaine doesn't do much, and it's not something that's going to I don't know, upturn my life.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But there's another
you
dude next to you.
Yeah.
He's gonna do a low line of cocaine. He's addicted
like
crazy, and he never stops, and he goes ham bone.
Well, the thing about it is, again, to say that no drugs are inherently bad.
Yeah. It's your chemistry and how's it gonna...
Yeah, no people are inherently bad, right? It's just...
When some people can't have alcohol.
Some people can't have sugar, dude.
Yeah, dude.
This is what we're talking about. In Overeaters Anonymous, sugar is the devil.
Well, sugar is, it's really what screws you.
So it's what is a drug, right? A drug is something that changes the way you feel when you take it. That's kind of the whole idea, right? But you feel a lot different when you had a chocolate bar than when you didn't have one.
Yeah.
So it's the same. You definitely feel way different when you have a coffee than when you haven't had one.
Yes.
And most people that are
and then when you
coffee
stop having coffee, you have headaches and
you have withdrawal.
What's going on?
You actually have withdrawal. Right. So
and it's wild shit. But yeah, different strokes for different folks. People hit drugs different, So I would just do cocaine here or there with your party night, It's nothing I don't even, my whole time in Colorado, I don't think I even sought out and bought it,
Right. If it was around,
it would show up, or this homie would give it to us because he'd be whatever in Colorado, Not a big deal, It's whatevs. And
but in some way,
to me, let's say, not a big deal.
It's
Other
a big
people,
deal, right?
It could change their life,
right? And
I'm skewed, maybe,
and maybe it
because
did
of what
change your
happened
life.
when I was a child.
Right.
So when I say it's not a big deal,
it's like Grandpa just being like, "Here, have a sip of this 7 and 7."
Am I skewed? And also, is it the movies I watch? And I hate to say that because it's when you're a kid, if someone told you, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
But it's glamorized. Tony Montana.
100%.
That's some cool shit, dude. That was a really cool movie.
Right. And
but in real life, it's not cool.
And if you can handle it, you might get some clout in the group. Or if you're doing coke, you think you're the man anyway. So, not everybody, but for a lot of people, I've seen it with friends where it's I'm never doing that again. And then the next night they're drinking. They're like, call the guy.
Yeah,
call the guy.
Call the guy.
Watching your friends that are call the guy people, when they go,
And it's one beer ATM.
Yeah, and it's like a child's birthday party. Oh yeah, don't mind if I do. I'll have a beer. And then
a child's birthday.
Why are you calling the guy to a fucking child's birthday party?
You don't need to tell the guy it's a child's birthday. This is not the zone to call the guy. Zone.
Are we partying tonight?
We're not in
party
Vegas.
Tonight? We're gonna party tonight. We're partying. We party.
And
get to party.
That's that dude who just has that personality.
And we're making. I'm making fun of him or making light of it now. But it's serious.
No, it's way serious. Like if you're called a guy, it's serious. Yeah.
You're scared for that guy.
Because where does it end?
Or girl,
and
or
how
friend,
much money is going to be spent?
It seems very.
How much alcohol is going to be consumed?
Right.
What's the world all of a sudden this guy's interjected into to where he's always got to call the guy? Mm-hmm. And who is the guy? What else?
What if
is
the guy gets pinched? Right.
And what if the guy's got a gun?
I think that's the gateway thing. Is what else is the guy selling?
Yeah.
Like
and the guy. Who is the guy hanging with, and is the guy's friends going to come mug you? Like,
and if
is that guy going to rob your house?
If you're really excited, right, to go out with your buddies and do some drugs, and all of a sudden there's no Coke in town, well, maybe you'll try the other thing.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, we got these pills. You can crush them up and snort them. Try that.
Yeah. And if you're looking for the Coke buzz, it's going to be meth. Or Adderall, I guess. Mm-hmm. But you want to move on that upper train, and keep going that way.
Yeah.
And it's it's rough. It's a hard thing.
So for listeners that don't have any drug education, there are two main types of drugs. Three, really. Uppers, downers, and changers.
Yeah. What's a changer?
Changers are like the psychedelics where you're not really going to get addicted to being on acid all the time because you feel so different and you're so not able to do real life, normal life.
Yeah. Dude, I remember once I took LSD, went to high school.
Yeah, me too.
Crossed the line. That's a line I was like, I cannot, this is not the line. You know what I mean?
That's beyond.
Yeah.
You need to walk
I went
away.
A step too far here.
Yeah, you need to walk away.
I'm in a place where this is not cool to
These two things don't work.
No, dude. Yeah. And it's starts to fuck with your mind.
It does.
And it's bad. And so the changers, you're definitely not getting addicted to the changers. But what sucks is, like, we can't go ahead and say those drugs are okay, even though they're supervised, because I have seen some people where it's messed their head up, doing it one time, to where that person was never quite the same.
Well, there's also Lisa Hudson.
It maybe triggered something.
And her son tragically just lost his ability to figure out the world around him, and he fell off
a deck.
It was so awful.
Yeah, and it's so heartbreaking. And so it's important to anyone listening, like, just because that's a changer, it's not addicting, it doesn't mean that that's something that can't have that effect that's going to change your life.
There's so many factors to taking drugs, right? Like sometimes, you've already said in this, if you're in a situation where pharmaceutical drugs can actually help you, get a doctor to help you do it, right? And now we're at this stage where these drugs that we were told had no good use in humans are being used to fix people from like stubborn
that's what's crazy
PTSD
too.
And shit.
Yeah, dude, and that's some real shit. And so so maybe you might take the LSD and you can't fathom some shit and something happens, it's a horrible accident. But if you're with someone that's, professional and you're in the right setting, and they're going through this thing with the PTSD and helping, like, that's, it's different.
Mushrooms, ketamine.
There's ketamine therapy. Yeah. They're starting with the mushrooms for PTSD. And it's like, you got to, I guess, look at that. And if that's something you believe in, pursue that and look into it.
Those are the changers. Now, the uppers, pretty much the biggest addiction in the world is to caffeine.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's not much of a difference between caffeine and crystal meth as far as the mechanism of action.
Yeah. Right? Caffeine's not going to make you freaking stay up for 4 days and then take a toothbrush to every square inch of your house.
Unless you take a big giant pot of espresso and you chug it.
I still don't think you're going to stay up for 4 days.
No, you won't.
And go into psychosis.
You won't go. You might go into coffee.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'd like to do some research about if there's a coffee psychosis.
The thing about...
But meth also is doing things to your body because of the ingredients that is like rotting it from the inside out. And, and your teeth are going to fall out. And there's some shit that's hardcore that isn't gonna happen with coffee.
Right.
And
a lot of people that get hooked on meth, for example, are self-medicating for issues that, they need connection. They need help from a support group.
Yes.
Whether it's friends, family, community, you know what I mean? Like, it's tough when you see somebody in your group kind of drop off.
Yes, and that was me. And I took opiates too far. And to the point where I started, it was good.
What was the first opiate?
Let's say I had like a 10-year relationship where I was a functioning addict.
Yeah.
And it starts, the classic thing with a snowboarder, someone gets hurt and pills are prescribed. And back 10 years ago, man, they were prescribing these pills like they were candy pretty much.
Yeah,
there's a movie, Happy Valley, about Utah. And the Mormons would, you can't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Yep. Doctor prescribes me pain pills. Well, that's okay. They prescribe me Xanax. That's okay. I'm okay now. But those are all very addicting things. And the whole OxyContin thing is gnarly, man. It's
very gnarly.
Yeah, and now it's fentanyl, and that's a whole other thing.
Which has been around for a very long time.
And all of a sudden, I think, though, it's because it's being processed way stronger or something because of China?
It's the availability of it. It was always
It just
there.
wasn't available before.
It wasn't available.
But you're right. I remember seeing it.
Because it's fast acting, right? And so it's fast to go up and it's fast to come down. Yeah, so you get the hit that you're after, but it only lasts for like 15 minutes or something. It's not long enough.
And then they keep doing it. And now it's very addicting. And now we're hearing that it's being put in your cocaine, it's being put in your meth.
Right.
And the reason being is those weren't addicting enough.
Right.
They're more mentally.
Yeah.
Let's give them a physical addiction. They're going to be coming back for more.
Right.
And the problem is it's like 10 times stronger than heroin and opiates.
And one of the things about opiates is that the effect wears off, so you need to get more. So as your dose reaches a fatal dose, it's a fucking, you're riding a fine line, right?
Yeah, so
you're riding a very fine line. So I was
pain pills, and you're getting your pain pills, and it's funny because there's a stigma on opiates. It's funny. There's pain pills, There's that the doctors prescribe. There's what the rappers drink, the purple drink. That's just an opiate.
Yeah.
And then there's heroin. There's actually 4 different because there's morphine.
Yep.
They're all made from the poppy plant.
Correct.
They're all the same fucking thing made 3 different ways, but pain pills are like, oh, you're just on pain pills. It's cool.
Right.
And then the rappers are like, they're just openly talking about the scissor, and it's all right. And then heroin is like, holy shit, what's going on?
Yeah.
They're all going to do the same thing.
Right.
And what happened to myself, and I did it to myself. I was getting pain pills, and one day the dude doesn't have pain pills. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get them, you're going to get sick.
How long was the pain pill process?
Oh, geez, I don't know, a couple of years maybe.
A couple of years. And
also your tolerance.
Yeah, the tolerance.
You start with you get 1 pain pill, you great time.
You're good.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it takes 2, it takes 3, it takes 4. It keeps going up.
Yeah.
And the pain pills are expensive, dude. They're like from $20 to $60 a pop. I think oxys people pay like $80 a pop. And so imagine as your tolerance changes, all of a sudden you're like, dude, I can't spend X amount a day,
Yeah. I'm a money guy. Like I'm a fairly cheap person, and if I could get a point of heroin for $20,
what are you gonna do?
And that's equal to
that would last you all day probably.
Yeah, like 8 of these pills, 10 of these pills. The pills are like $80 each.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
And so it's just your choice. You only have one choice eventually.
You're getting pushed into it.
Yeah, you're basically getting pushed into it.
Pushed.
And I remember thinking, the dude I got it from was like, well, dude, you can just smoke it. It's different. It doesn't matter. You're not injecting it.
Right.
Not as addicting. it's just as addicting.
Right.
And I thought I could do it like a gentleman, just do it that one time. And then I get pain pills the next day.
Pain pills.
And then, all of a sudden it's better. It's cheaper.
It's so much better, right? Like
you just change.
Yeah, it's so much better.
I still, though, there's certain lines I'm not going to cross. And, I've never injected anything. And a lot of people... you say heroin, the picture is you under the bridge downtown. And
with
you got a needle in your arm.
With a needle in your arm, yeah.
When you're smoking it, you can't smoke enough at one application to die.
Okay.
From my research. I mean, I'm sure it's happened because of fentanyl. I'll put some research up.
Yeah.
Let's say it's much harder.
Sure.
Fentanyl, though, changes that game. And you don't know if fentanyl's put in your stuff.
And you don't know how pure it is.
Dude, I've heard stories. I mean, I've seen it on, and I don't know, I guess I've seen, when you see it on TV, you don't know what's what. Yeah. But I've heard of fentanyl, it's so strong, you take one hit smoking and you can die.
Of course,
because it's that fucking strong.
Sure.
And these guys are putting it into all the drugs. And so you don't know what you're getting. We ended up having a dealer we worked with, and we had our shit tested for fentanyl because, you can
get fentanyl strips. Canada's pretty forward thinking. You can get your drugs tested for free.
Dude, Canada, you can go. Well, they'll check it for fentanyl. A nurse will administer it for you.
Sure.
And you can just sit there and inject heroin and they'll check your vitals and make sure you're okay and make sure. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Canada does that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's turned into this thing that went on 10 years, and it was myself and my wife, and it was great at first. It was this awesome fucking thing, and it works and it works and it works until it doesn't, and then it turns a corner, and then you need X amount of it, and then you're not getting high anymore.
What was the...
You're doing maintenance,
What was
you're trying to not get sick, let's say.
What was the thing about it that was excellent? Because
I mean, I don't want to go in and glamorize.
Were you hurt when you first started, and then you're like, I fucking kind of like this? Or were you not even hurt
I don't
when you first got it?
No, I've had dudes. I have snowboard injuries that are like you just saw me my ankle when the storm hits. It's like I think I broke one of them twice, and snowboarding jacks you up, and that's why, unfortunately, with the athletes and not just snowboarders, all athletes. There's the dopamine hit. Yeah. There's the injuries, and they're put on pain pills, and unfortunately, we're it sucks. It's like you're exposed to this stuff, and it makes that shit feel better. But not only does it make that feel better, it makes anything feel good.
Everything, right.
Just issues go away.
Okay, so without glamorizing.
Yeah, and it's not. Let's not glamorize it because it's fake. It's a trap. It's let's say it's like this fake fucking trap. I mean, that's why they call it a trap house.
Yeah, trap house.
It's a trap.
Right.
They want to trap you.
Yes.
It's like getting a bear claw around your foot. You're stuck, or a bear trap.
Yeah.
For anyone to know, it's a trap house is your trap. They're trapping you.
Yeah, and like an opium den. It's
back in the day. There was those opium
shit.
dens. They were sitting there, and it's
right.
And it's all the trap is this. Is okay, it's you only need this little bit at first. It's this, it's fun, and all of a sudden you need double that.
Right? And then it starts to feel scary.
More.
Right.
Well, and then it doesn't feel good. All it does is make you feel normal.
Right.
If you don't take it, you're sick.
Right.
And you're gonna puke, and you're gonna have the worst flu you ever had.
Right.
So all of a sudden, the high time's gone. You're just trying to fucking not get sick, so you can go about your life. I was what's called a functioning addict.
Right.
I had a career as one of the top professional snowboard photographers, and you're going to find out if you do some research, dude, there's lawyers, there's doctors, there's school teachers. It's everywhere.
Right.
It's all around you, and you might not know because they're functioning addicts. There's pilots. It's everyone.
Let's talk
all
about
walks of life.
Some of the lengths that you would have to go to as a regular international traveler who's got this, addiction, which really is something you have to plan for if you're gonna.
I'm working in a scenario where I might have to go on a snowboard trip with 2 days notice, and if that's the case, I still wasn't prepared to like not do my career.
Right.
Which is interesting. I mean, the problem is my wife and I were drug aficionados.
Okay.
You know, like I've always been just attracted to this drug culture and the movies and the music and hey, I'll try anything once.
Sure.
We've always said that. And that worked until it didn't, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like that's why we tried it. Like I don't think I tried these things because I was like escaping, because through my process of recovery, I've heard stories that, man, anything that happened to me is like not even close to like being forced to become a sex worker and you're trying to process that or just going to prison and being put in these situations. You know what I mean? There's some bad shit that goes on and these or having an uncle do crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like stuff that is just changing your life so bad that you can't live with it. You can't live with yourself until you numb yourself. That wasn't me.
No, this is akin to the guy who drinks a couple of beers on the weekend and then is like, you know what, it's fucking Wednesday, but I feel like having a beer. You know, I've had a tough week.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some, you know, and then before you know it, you're drinking every night
day
of the week.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, oh, I got a big fucking thing tomorrow and I can't sleep if I don't sleep right if I don't have like 6 beers.
Yeah.
And then you start to get worried about like, when does a beer store close? That's a Canadian reference.
And what sucks for alcoholics is that's in their face all day too.
It's in their face everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's crazy is alcohol, you actually, if you're a hardcore alcoholic, you would draw more than the heroin addict and you could die. And it is messed up. And that's the one that's like legal. And
it's a real thing.
It's crazy, dude.
And if you talk to police about who perpetrates violent crime, now you don't even have to talk to the police.
It's definitely not the weed smoker.
You can look at so if you do talk to the police, they're like, not the weed smoker ever. It's always the alcohol, like people who are on big amounts of alcohol. Alcohol was a factor in 70% of violent crime.
Damn.
In the thing that in the study that I heard about it, and now 70% of violent crime, alcohol played a factor. So we definitely need to look at our behaviors as a culture and figure some baseline shit out, right? Because prohibition doesn't work, right?
No.
It just doesn't work. To make something legal in one context that's highly addictive.
Yeah.
That is...
Well, and people are going to find a way, too. If they want something, they're finding it.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, okay, I got to travel to places. I got to find a way. Unfortunately, dude, it's like crazy to admit, I've traveled to places I should not travel to and brought it with me because I didn't have a choice and I wasn't going to not go and do my job.
You were putting yourself and the team at risk or whatever you want to say. At least yourself.
Well, myself, yeah.
Like I would have to go to fucking
I
jail.
always tried to travel in, fly in myself and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But a lot of times what I would do was, because I only had a couple days, I would just do it like flying in. And before I got to a place and got through customs, it was done. And then on the plane is usually like a 18-hour travel day to a lot of foreign places.
Fuck.
That's the amount of time that you need to go from your last hit to when you take Suboxone.
Okay.
So the second
What's
I get off the plane,
Suboxone?
Suboxone's a medication that's going to block your opiate receptors.
So it's a prescription or a legal opioid. Like, what do they call that?
It's like I'll have to put up some information about it. But what it's gonna do, it has naloxone in it, and it's interesting because it does 2 things at once. One, it blocks your receptors, and then 2, it like does something for the craving as well.
Oh, okay.
And so what it's gonna do is when you quit without it, or even come off it too early, dude, you start having dreams that you're out trying to buy. It's like, and that goes actually, I've heard that for for all drug addicts. It's crazy. It's like a whole thing. Oh, did you do the dream thing yet?
Dude, I dreamt.
Or you're trying to do the drugs in your dream.
I dreamt that I was drinking straight from the bottle, like just gulp.
But nothing's coming in when you're doing these other drugs, like nothing.
Right.
You're like smoking the drug and it's not
working.
It's not coming.
Not helping.
Yeah. And it's because you're in withdrawal and you want it and you just fell asleep sick and it's horrible. Yeah. But so I was able to come up with a system, and I think part of it was because I was young. Mm-hmm. Your body's a little more resilient. Mm-hmm. And it didn't always work. Sometimes I'd end up getting sick, and I had to deal with that, and it sucked. It's like the worst thing you've ever dealt with.
What kind of covering up was going on during these early, like at the early time? Like, did you develop a habit of just staying out of everyone's periphery so that you didn't have to lie about it ever? Or
I tried
times where somebody's like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing right now?" You're like,
"Oh no, not at all.
Never.
Always just like the only.
What are you smoking out there?
Yeah,
like fucking tinfoil.
No, would never,
no,
dude. Never.
It never happened.
It's just fully down low.
Yeah.
Just my wife and I, and that would be it.
Yeah. So you didn't have to lie to your wife here when it's here.
Because that would have ended shit probably way quicker. Someone you're sleeping with in the same bed, they're gonna figure that out.
They're gonna figure it out pretty quick.
But no, there's people that do figure out how to hide it, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah. And were you like, okay, I'm going to get high at the end of the day. I'm going to get all this work done, and then I'll get high and sleep the night.
I'd have it figured out where, boom, morning time, so you're not sick. I basically would be on a schedule.
Yeah.
The second I started getting sick, I got to figure it out. And so do it in the morning, and then do it at night, or like right when you get in, when it gets dark. And then once right before bed, like 3 times a day. And then I just wouldn't get sick. And that was just the goal. It's like, boom, I can't get sick. I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And that works eventually, and then it doesn't.
Because it's kind of like
because it starts changing because you need that more.
You're staying normal with this thing.
That's all I'm trying to do is stay normal. Like you wouldn't have been like you think of a heroin addict, and like I said, it's just some dude with a needle
nodding off,
and he's nodding off.
Right.
Like I remember seeing. I just watched recently the what's his name, Edward Scissorhands there.
Oh, yeah, Johnny Depp.
So in his court case, they show footage of him nodding off. Yeah. And he's talking about how he's taking pain pills. I'm like, that guy's not taking pain pills. He's doing heroin. And he was, but they just dumbed it down because heroin is a fucking hard word.
It's a hard word.
It's a word that is, unfortunately, for the heroin addicts, it's a word that puts them in a different category. And I guess I'm here talking about it because, one, I know there's other people out there. And there's help, and we'll get into that, but it's the same as the pain pills, and so let's not get that twisted. It's all the same. Let's not glamorize scissor, because you can listen to some lyrics when they say they talk about going into withdrawal in the lyrics, and it's just like there's some new song I heard where it's like I'm gonna be out for 3 days. That's how long you're sick on the shit if you quit, and it's like it's all the same. The scissor, the pills. The morphine, it's all the same fucking thing.
It comes from the same place.
It comes from the same plant.
Yeah.
It's just made a different way. It's the same ingredient.
Totally.
And it's going to have the same results. And it's the trap that's going to get you sick. And so you would have never known because I was normal.
Right.
And it just puts you in a place where you're not going to be sick anymore. And
it seems like some of the least tolerant people to understanding the situation that an opioid addict is in are probably doing something to excess themselves, like having a coffee every morning, smoking ciggies.
And everybody is. There's all these different forms of
scrolling.
Well, there's also different forms. Maybe you're addicted to sex. Maybe you're addicted to porn.
Or scrolling or whatever it is.
And porn does bad shit to people too. And it's like there's crazy shit going on out there. And let's try to think, I guess, more about helping people.
Let's be more inclusive. Let's be more passionate. Let's listen. Let's not go on old stigmas. That's important.
And so for me, as I get older, it got to be a little bit harder. But I ended up moving and I have high blood pressure. And I ended up, didn't get a doctor. Because you're smoking heroin, one thing you do is be like, I'll go get a new script for my blood pressure tomorrow, whatever.
Right.
I got all this other shit to deal with that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Get that tomorrow. Tomorrow turned into too long. Yeah. And all of a sudden there started to be effects that were affecting my health.
Okay.
And like in a bad way. And so it probably got a little more noticeable. And someone close to me, like Chris, you know, like he kind of maybe had a feeling here and there. Because if you do drugs, you kind of start to sense, if you've done them in your life, you have a sense of being able to put the eye on it and know what's going on. And so you're spending a lot of time with someone, you know, he's dealt with a situation where his loved ones, several different ones, have been addicts. And it's a hard thing because he knows how it can affect and faint life. It's taken a lot of energy from him because different family members, multiple, and people close to him, girlfriends, whatever. So he kind of felt like something was up. And I remember my wife had low blood pressure. I had high blood pressure.
Right.
Both of us, as we were getting older, dude, we were headed towards death, maybe, like in a bad way.
Yeah.
And it was gnarly, dude. It's like the high blood pressure, they say, is a silent killer, but if you wait long enough, you can start to, if you Google it, you'll know the symptoms that are coming in, you know?
What timeline are we talking with Bombhole that Chris is starting to snoop around a bit about or at least...
Well, I guess you got to remember, Chris, he has his own battles that he had. You know, he's in recovery.
He was very vocal about them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I can talk about him. He had his own issues, and he was that guy ATM, or ate beer to the ATM, you know? So he ended up quitting. And he was worried about me, and dude, bless his heart, he was able to have an intervention.
Okay, but way before the intervention, when's the first time that he expresses that he suspects something?
It would be like, sometimes I would like just disappear on the weekends. He had a friend that passed away that I think he found like with a needle in the arm. Affected him. Horrible scenario.
That's awful.
I mean, he's been close to it, you know, like and maybe it wasn't the same drug for some other scenarios. And so, you know, you can pick out and friends, girlfriends, like I said, and so he had and he was on his own journey, like trying to, and he still is always on like sound baths and wants to like really dig into the recovery, maybe not recovery, but just enlightening of the human self.
Yeah.
How do I be the best me I'm going to be?
So he's on.
And he also wanted it for me.
Okay.
So he was, I remember now the answer to your question.
Yeah.
He was at the ketamine therapy.
Okay.
And doing it through with a like someone there to do it with him, or a professional, a doctor.
Is that illegal here?
No, it's legal.
It's legal.
If the doctor can do it.
Just want to make sure you're not like...
No, it's fully legal with a doctor's office.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It is. I could see it being very, very helpful.
Yeah.
It's fucking dope.
Middle of the thing, he popped up and was like, Ethan needs help. And it came to him in that thing. And it was crazy, dude. And he said that.
Where is that? Like year one, year two,
yeah, like in year one,
three?
Dude. It was crazy.
Okay.
And then like a couple times here and there, he would just be like, dude, I think something's going on. I don't know what it is. I'll have your back through the journey, you know?
Yep.
And then it just led into, the blood pressure compounding with me getting older, health decreasing, you know, he got worried and had the intervention. And the night before the intervention, dude, my wife and I, we've been doing it for 10 years, and we were over it, dude.
Right,
We were like, dude.
Right. Had you guys transitioned during the making of the bomb hole from, say, pills to powder?
No, dude.
Or
We're talking, the pill thing is like 2 years in the beginning, and then it switched. So let's go 8 years.
8 years of smoking it.
And I don't know the exact dates, you know what I mean,
or
the exact amount.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Like,
it could be less.
Had there been a transition from one substance to another that would make it a little bit more obvious and like.
Oh, for that time, no, because it was already deep, and I was deep into the maintenance, and just trying to not be sick.
Yeah, that kind of feeling. I'm just trying to relate it to something that people just have an acceptable relationship with, like alcohol.
Yeah.
Like you might have your brand of beer that you just don't feel the same if you're not drinking your brand. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lot about comfort. It's about routine. It's about maintaining your life and control over yourself and your situation and the way you feel, right? Like, I didn't feel great if I didn't have extra beer in the fridge just in case. It would be hard for me to sleep at night if I didn't know that I was kind of taken care of. If I woke up in the night and wanted to chug a beer or something, that it was there for me. You know what I mean? And I think that most people would have something in their life where they're like, I don't like to take sleeping pills, and I don't think I take them every night. But if I'm honest with myself, I take them every night. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of people have that kind of experience in their life without knowing it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's obvious that if Chris is worried about this and he's saying he's got your back, and you're, you know, and let's just, I'm guessing here. Yeah. But if you're to say to him, you're on the wrong path. Yeah. I'm not doing anything. Like, don't worry about me. Okay.
I just went blank, like, just let it go.
Just like,
just let him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which probably was a sign, to be honest, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
100% is a sign if you know people.
Yeah.
If you're
I was like, fuck you, dude. What are you talking about, bro? I'm not doing that.
You know what I mean? Right. That's one way.
Because I wasn't going to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. So I think that, you know, if he's building this thing and he's really, you know, when you guys are having a lot of success and you're partners. Yeah. That's the thing. You're partners. By the time he does the intervention, he's probably been through hell and back trying to figure out, do I do an intervention? What if I'm wrong?
Well, yeah, he apparently, like, right up to it, he almost canceled it because he just wasn't sure. I saw him, he's fine, you know?
Saw him, he's fine.
Yeah, and he said that to me after. Yeah. And so the night before, my wife and I, like, prayed, dude, how do we get out of this? This sucks. Like, legitimately, and I'm not like I manifest. That's my version of praying. Okay. How do we get out, dude? And it's like, I didn't know you could use insurance. I didn't know, how do I get two people through? Because even with insurance, it's like, my deductible's 10 G's. That's 20 grand, dude. I can't. How do we do this? Wow. Scheme of things, it'd be cheaper, long run. Yeah. But how do I come up with $20K to get her and I there? Right. How do we disappear for fucking her? She's her Mormon parents. Like, it just didn't seem fucking possible.
Every aspect of your life is tied into, like, don't do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your family. You're going to lose.
But how do I not do this?
Of what, right. How do we get done?
And how do I do it for two? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was gnarly, dude. It was like, it felt like there's no way out. And that's why it's important, people listening. There's ways out, and there is a way out. And you want to talk about it, hit me up, because I will be there and tell you and help you. So there's this, I walk in to do a podcast, and Pat Bridges is there, Justin Meyer, Travis Wood, an intervention specialist, and Chris, obviously. Mikey LeBlanc. People that are very, very important to me.
That's a solid crew of motherfuckers right there.
So they're like, you got to go and do this. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm in, but you got to get my wife to go, because otherwise I can't go. I'm not going unless she goes. And so they were very stoked when I finally, it wasn't that quick. It was like,
really? Yeah, at first,
it wasn't just like, I'll go. You know what I mean?
Was there some fuck you? You guys got the wrong idea?
No fuck you. No, I didn't even go there. No. But I've seen the show Intervention enough that there's a process. They hired an interventionist. You know, Chris did. Chris put it all together. Like, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Saved our lives.
Yeah.
Like, hands down.
Yeah.
There's an interventionist, though. Like, you got to go through this process. It's like, everyone's got to talk. That's how it works. And so everyone spoke, and I'm just like, boom, I'm down. Let's go. And it was a special moment. It was awesome. And then right into, okay, how do we do this for Angie? Mm-hmm. And they came right over here. The intervention dude got a 2-for-1 spash. It was on, dude. Homie just made some loot.
How did it feel to hear those guys in that room?
For me, it was so dope because we had prayed that night before. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, this is fucking crazy. Here we are. And of course, I'm not going to say no to Pat Bridges, Mikey LeBlanc, Travis Wood, Chris, Justin. Like it was insane. It was like it was awesome, and it was a cool moment. And then I'm like, fuck. The intervention guy is like, all right, it's gonna be like 45 days. I was like, why 45 days? Like, what did I just commit to? I got dogs. What do we do about my dogs?
Right.
And they're like, dude, don't fucking worry about anything.
Everything's taken
like
care
we're
of.
gonna team up.
Yeah.
Meyer took my cat. Like
nice.
I came back. Bean had this fucking dope haircut that she is now because I kept it going. We got it again, but we kept it going.
Yeah.
But
Sick.
Bean was stoked. Had been living with Meyer. They hired a dog walker to come and walk the dogs.
Rad.
And the dogs had free reign a little bit, which sucked, but whatever, dude.
Sure.
It was cool because everything was taken care of. But then they came over here and did it for the wife. And that's a hard go because her parents are so Mormon, dude. She was like never down, like thought they would like in the Mormon religion, dude. Sometimes they would like, I don't know, give you the boot,
excommunicate
yeah,
you,
dude.
And now you don't.
Well, not
have a
that
family.
she's not really a part of the church, but they are.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're kicking you out of church, but you might get kicked out of the fam.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Excommunicate you from the family.
From the fam,
Yeah,
dude.
like that's that.
And that was a worry, like her mom's never picked up a beer. Like,
wow.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to you, but that's the Mormon religion, and that's crazy. So how is she gonna take this? And they ended up taking it really good.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah,
and like helped Angie, and like her dad basically was just like, oh, you know what happened is you can't go to the same place. So her and I can't go to the same place because they don't want you being a crutch on each other. They want you to work on you.
Okay.
They don't want me working on her and her working on me.
Sure.
And some people might come out of that 45 days and be like, you're the problem.
You're the problem.
And they want you
Sorry,
to figure
sweetie.
that out.
Yeah,
they want,
sweetie.
and it happens.
Right,
I think it happens a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think it's actually rare that there's two of you together.
I think a lot about your situation is rare.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think that you're
that
typical.
at the spot, too.
Yeah, I don't think you're typical in this situation.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people function at the level that you've functioned at. Definitely not international travel.
No. It's crazy.
And like like just holding property.
Yeah.
Right? You did a big property swap in the middle of all of this.
Yeah, and I ended up doing it so I wouldn't spend the money. I bought the house straight cash just so I wouldn't even have access to it.
Right, because you had...
Where most people would be like, all right, we're going to set up an investment. And
because you can... You put
like,
all
protect
the
me from my money
into the house.
Yeah.
When you could have put a down payment and had money in the bank to run it.
In a time like...
Yeah.
I remember Travis Wood be like, no, what are you doing? You don't just buy a house. Like, let's have money. I'll help you make more money.
Take the
it's like, no, it's not for
money
me,
to the
dude.
bank.
That's not my plan.
Right. So that also explains a little bit of the frustration at the bomb hole, because this business was seat of the pants to start with, and very quickly became a money management project.
Yeah.
Where there's going to be money in a bank account that needs to be managed, and it's taken on by the guy who takes it on. And you're like, you know what? I don't really need to know that much about that fucking shit, man. Don't tell me about the money, really. And
farther away from it, the better, to be honest.
Right. And the plan was to, which is a normal startup plan. We're going to put sweat equity in this thing.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know what sweat equity is, it's the work that you put into a new business to make it viable. And sweat equity means you're not getting paid for it, right? Like, that's just the way that is. Like,
yeah.
And so when Chris comes to you or you guys are having one of these meetings about how are we going to do this, the sweat equity thing probably sounds pretty good because, by the time the money's coming in, you're like, I'll have this fucking addiction thing figured out. I'll be cool.
Yeah.
But
Dude, that's
don't give
funny.
me too much.
Dude, one
right
thing
now.
about heroin, you're always quitting tomorrow. This is my last one.
Oh, yeah.
My last day. And the same with cigs, even.
Ciggies.
Last pack. I would tell them at 7-Eleven every time. That's the last pack, man.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a ritual. You flip the cigarette so that when you know what I mean. This is going to really be the last one.
And it's like the same thing. Like, it's the last time I'm getting this stuff.
Every day's the last.
Both of us, Angie and I, would both say that. Like,
this is it.
Last one.
One more.
And then I'll figure everything out.
Should we do one more?
Yeah, it'd be great.
People know that. Listen, if you're just a regular person out there in the world, this is that Netflix moment where you know you're too tired. You don't really care that much about the show. And you're looking, you go again? Yeah, just one more. Why not?
One more. Let's do one more.
Just one more.
One more episode.
It's kind of the same feeling, right? Like
the next thing you know, you're like 3 hours past bedtime and
more
you
consequence.
Keep going.
Right. Yeah. It's more consequence. You realize, I fucked my shit up. I have to get up early tomorrow.
Yeah.
I told you not one more. Like,
and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Right.
Every day is the one more. And it's like, it sucks, man. It's like another reason why it's such a trap. Why they say it's a monkey on your back.
Yes.
I had a gorilla, dog. It was fucked up.
Yeah.
You're going to be a monkey, be a gorilla.
So the intervention is people who love you.
Yes.
And I'm sure one of the things you're thinking is like, what about the show? What happens while I'm away?
Chris is just like, don't you worry about
days.
it. Yeah.
Do we have 45 days worth of episodes going? No.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he didn't.
So were you thinking maybe the show pauses, or maybe he runs it by himself, or you hadn't really thought of that? Was that not
it
even
was
really
more
a thought?
like, dude, my biggest worry was getting into detox and how that was going to be, because that shit is rough, dude.
That's a real deal.
It's harsh.
And from what I hear, you guys took longer than like an average
me
person.
Because I had high blood pressure.
Meaning that, you guys were fairly far down that road.
Dude, with myself, I ended up having to get all these like heart tests and make sure that because of the blood pressure, I didn't fuck anything up, and I could have. Mm-hmm. Luckily, everything was fine. Mm-hmm. Everything's working fine. The old ticker's still ticking.
Yeah, good.
But
glad you're here.
Could have messed it up.
Yeah.
And with her, it was too low, so they had to get it high. And me, you know what I mean? It was they couldn't even start the phase of detox until that was figured out.
So safe to say that most of your concern during that time is about yourself, and that's what you've been instructed to do, about your wife, which is the love
dude,
of your
you
life.
can't even. They didn't take my phone away, but at her detox, they took her phone away.
You had your phone the whole time? Like the most addictive thing? You could just call your guy. What are you talking about?
I had to call her on the freaking
one.
Mine was in like a hospital, and hers was in like a hospital / like it was like one flew at a cuckoo's nest from what I heard, dude. It was
like
crazy.
A care facility, long-term care.
What's funny, dude, is I ended up getting into, because from there you go into a full rehab house.
Okay.
So I'm living in, it's like Big Brother or something. It was crazy.
Of course.
It's like something you've never, no one's ever experienced.
Yeah,
dude.
all the characters.
You're like put in this kind of a mansion for me.
Yeah.
You're put in this like mansion, dope crib in Cottonwood Heights, actually in my old neighborhood. And you're like new dude in the spot, and you walk in and there's just random ass, all walks of life people. My spot had 20. And there's a dude with freaking tattoos head to toe.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, who's this guy? Like, he looks interesting. He's in full withdrawal because they took him from prison, and he's in there detoxing at the spot. So he's so grumpy, dude.
Yeah.
Head to toe, fucking no hair, like skulls, and there's like, holy shit, dude. I was like, I gotta meet that dude. He looks cool.
Yeah.
But this just all walks of life, and you're just thrown into this, okay, I'm gonna be living here. And you're almost like, you got like these 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old people that are like watching you and like, dude, you can't watch R-rated. Like there's this whole program built.
Yep.
And you got to follow all these rules you're not supposed to share. And they're just, what they're doing is, it's actually kind of interesting because you figure it out a little ways through. But like someone tries to bum a cig off me.
Yeah.
You want to give me a cig. I'm the type of dude who'll give you a cig.
Right.
But there's a rule, no sharing. And if they call you, you don't get in trouble if you break rules, but you have to like write something about it. It's like you get reprimanded, and it's awkward, and you got to do it in front of everybody.
Oh, wow.
But what they're doing, and you realize it like a week or 2 weeks in, they're reprogramming your brain.
Okay.
They're getting you used to these different rules. And one, you haven't got up at fucking 7 a.m. consistently since who knows when, school. Dude, you haven't like been on this schedule where like it's the gym here, and you're doing this and you're eating this and
3 meals a day.
Yeah.
8 hours of sleep a night.
The meth addicts
getting
hadn't
up
eaten
early.
in fucking...
Yeah.
And you're with every type of drug, but the meth addicts hadn't eaten in freaking 4 days, you know what I mean? And and the heroin addicts have been eating too many sweets and just eating 1 meal a day, and it's like all of a sudden it's 3 meals cooked by this awesome different people. There's like 2 or 3 people that made you these rad meals.
Sick.
But then you had to like chore board, and you know you have to do your chores, and maybe it was dishes, and you're living in this community all of a sudden. And at first you're just like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
But you come out of there being like, whoa, dude, there's some special people in there.
Yes.
Made some really special relationships.
Yeah.
And that it's almost like being in the trenches again.
Sure.
Where you're making the war, like we talked about how when you're at war, you're in the trenches and you make this special relationship.
Yeah.
Our war was 3 hours of process.
Okay, so
every day, Monday through Friday.
Process is the one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Everybody
They're doing
talking.
it in there, huh?
Yeah, they are. Everybody's talking. You know, they go around the circle. You want to talk, and you're like, not today. This guy, you know.
And you got to tell your story.
And then you got to tell your
And if you want to get out of there, you got to let's get into that. You got to like show that you're. If you want to graduate, like at the end, I get a certificate that I graduated. You know, if you want that certificate. And some people are there for jail. They have to get that certificate.
Yeah, that's the way.
But you can't just be like, no, I'm not talking today. And so it's like, I was like, first day, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? And so you end up telling your story and you end up doing it several times. And it's not just a therapist weighing in. It's like my tattoo homie, who's my celly, we call him, the dude with the tattoos. He is giving you feedback from his perspective.
Sure.
Which is so different from this woman over here that grew up, you know, in the South and had her situation, and her drug might be alcohol, and then this person over here that like they're just every walk of life, and if they so choose, they're gonna weigh in, and they have to, not have to, but like the therapists expect them to weigh in, and because and what's funny is when you hear them do their story, you learn from that, just like you're gonna learn from yours. And so you all of a sudden are learning from 20 different experiences that people had and realizing like, one, man, we're all the same and we all have the same problems. Somebody's might be a lot worse than yours, but maybe yours are different. And we all have one thing in common, man, it's the drugs and trying to get through it. And the therapists are good at what they do, man. I went to this place, Wasatch, and dude, they got this dialed, dude. Like, they are such a good spot. And what's crazy, I noticed, too, you start to learn is, well, one, the owner's making a lot of money. Business is good, unfortunately.
Oh,
the business of recovery is very, very good, and that sucks. Yeah. But the thing about the owner, dude, there's people that were there on scholarship because they went through, unfortunately, some people have been through the recovery like 7 times or 12 times.
Sure.
90% chance that you're going to relapse and go back.
Yeah,
Scary.
On time one. Yeah.
Scary number right there. Yeah. But you know what? If it happens, you go back in.
Yeah.
And actually, dude, you're stoked. I see people come back in and they're just like, dude, they're so stoked to see the therapist.
Yeah.
And maybe the person that someone in my house was in detox with Angie.
Oh, wow.
And Angie had given the dude a note to give me because I had to talk to her like a school kid.
Yeah.
I can only talk to her. But he lost it. But it took like 3 weeks. Because, like, I don't know if he thought I was older than her or whatever. But this dude was like, whoa, dude, your girl's name's Angie? I was in detox with her.
Oh, my God.
But he didn't know I was the same one.
That is so funny.
Because she said Ethan is at this place, Wasatch, and he thought he was going to... It's called like Wasatch Mountains or something. There's 2 of them.
Sure.
And so he thought it was the wrong place, but it turns out they were in
And he'd
detox.
lost the note.
He lost the note. He came and he mailed it to me because we got out, and he sent it to me in the mail.
Yeah.
But and it just said like, "Good luck, you got this," you know.
Yeah, of course.
But this experience, dude, is I think I'm sure they have it for people that, and they do actually. JP Walker's place sounded kind of similar, but not the drugs. You know what I mean? Like to help you out a bit.
I think if you're talking about
processing
the
at Haven,
I'm gonna be possibly the show will be sponsored by the Haven this year,
and that place sounds amazing.
It's not. I don't think that.
Well,
he
did say there was some stuff where they like
that
they can touch you in a certain way
for addiction.
No, I'm saying it's not.
Yeah.
Not for addiction, but they do some of the same practices.
Okay.
Where they put you in group and they, processing and.
I think from what Kearns has told me, and I'm going to be going to the Haven in October. It sounds
you are?
like. Yeah, for
Sick.
it's for like kind of a handshake, welcome to the process. Thing.
I've heard that place is just insane.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher it, but basically, it's like. This is a way of living authentically in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like when you look around at the way that we live, there's a lot of fakeness.
Yes.
There's a lot of,
there's so much and
processed foods and bullshit and
I thought you were more talking about
healthy,
the people.
Dude,
that's one thing I saw in my rehab is like the prison folk, dude. There's no fakeness there, dude.
The real thing
because fakeness turns into a shank. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's one unfortunate thing about rehab is the amount of stuff I learned about prison.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you what, I never want to go to prison. It's a scary sounding place. But the terminology and like the words they're using and the gangs and how the police, not the police, but the guards, dude, the drugs are coming in from guards and shit, and it's corrupt. And it's scary, dude.
What?
But they don't fuck around, dude. They have something on their mind. They tell you what's on their mind.
Yep.
You're rubbing someone the wrong way. I fucking hate you, dude. Like he'll tell somebody.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking dork. When I met you, I hated you. But now I kind of like you, dude. My one roommate said that to the other dude.
Yeah.
And you helped them out. You got their back, dude. You got their back. Like,
that's cool.
They have your back. And it's really interesting, the community they build, but it's also sad, the rotating door.
What amount of interaction with law enforcement had you had before intervention? Like, had you ever had, like, you'd never done jail time?
No. Well, I mean, I've been, J2 and I spent a night in the not the drunk tank, but they locked us up. I guess it was a drunk tank.
Yep.
Other than that, I'd been arrested for some weed and let go that same night. Mm-hmm. Not even like with a bail, just court case. Yeah. So very minimal.
Probation or anything like that?
No, from that weed thing, probation. Like, that's how it works in Utah.
Bummer.
But it was fucking easy. It was crazy, dude. It was really easy.
That's a bummer.
Well, because I was
coming
doing
from
drugs.
somewhere where the whole country.
But I was doing drugs and never had a problem.
You get
with the drug
with
testing.
Weed. Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I skated
incredible.
through it all, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Because they messed up at one place. COVID hit and they stopped doing people that were like low priority.
Wow.
And I just somehow skated through the whole process.
And just stayed on drugs the whole time.
If I didn't pass a drug test, I would have been like fucked and had to go to jail.
Fucking jail time.
And somehow it was just like, what is going on here? You know,
that's
like,
incredible.
It sucked. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, it sucks that the drugs laws are so bad that you could go to jail for weed. But not because of the weed, but because you're actually on other drugs and they caught you. It's so fucked up.
Dude, when you sit in the courthouse and see how fucked up it really is, it's so bad, man. I saw like instances where, you get that free lawyer, like that public defender.
Public defender.
I would see a public defender like be on their phone.
Yeah.
And be texting.
Yeah.
And then their client comes up. They never look that client in the eye.
Oof.
And they're looking at their phone, they're texting, and maybe side-eye mouth say something to their client.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge would ask some questions. Off to jail for 6 months. And that never eye contact from that public defender.
And
I watched that shit and was just like, did this just happen? Like, what just fucking happened? Like, that dude's going back to jail. And
ouch.
You know what I mean? Like, not even eye contact. And then when that guy leaves and they're all laughing, these different lawyers are just laughing with each other. And
God, fuck.
It's just like, dude.
The system's broken.
It's so broken, dude. That
system's broken.
I don't know how it can even be fixed. It's so broken. It's just like in such a bad place that and you don't really see it unless you're going to sit in that courtroom and watch the cases go down. And that's just how it works. That's how
it works.
You have to, because you don't know when your name's going to get called, so you got to go sit there for like an hour or two.
And you're in this process with people that's like, fuck, is weed a felony? Are you fucked on
now
that?
They've mellowed it out. No, it's not.
Okay.
Now they've kind of mellowed it out, but dude, it used to be like you get caught with weed 3 times, it's a felony or some shit.
Oh my God.
But I think they finally have taken it down a notch, but you still got to go to, like Lucas Magoon, he talked about it on his thing, how he basically couldn't come back to Utah for like 10 years. Because if he came back, he was going to have to go to jail.
What the fuck?
And it was like Dingo helped him get it taken care of.
Yeah.
But it was because of a weed fucking charge. Him and his wife.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, that's fucked up.
Yeah, so
and how excited these cops will get over weed. Dude,
yeah. We got one. We
we fucking got one.
Yeah, we got him.
Dude, I remember I got arrested like right up by my house, in front of my fucking house.
Yeah.
And I get taken all the way to Salt Lake Jail. And I'm in the jail getting processed, and the chick looks down at what I got arrested for.
Yeah.
And looks up at me, and she's like, they brought you in here for this?
Oh, wow.
They're like, dude, they're not supposed to bring you in here for weed. What is going on? Hey, Jim, you see this? I'm just like, bro.
That's nuts.
When they're laughing like that, and it's like, dude, come on, man.
So
I had another court case. Bodie and I and a crew got caught out jibbing.
Oh, wow.
And I got like, conspiracy to commit destruction on property or some shit because I was shooting.
Right.
It was jacked.
Right.
And then let this be a lesson. I peed in the view of a school camera.
Oh shit.
Luckily, I just got a charge for peeing or something. But you
public
can
indecency
get
or
a
something.
sex offender charge.
Oof.
And the guy, I guess a month ago, the cop told me they did it to him. He got caught, and his wasn't on a camera. He got caught by an actual officer and got a sex offender charge for peeing at a school. No one saw him except that officer. And it's like, dude, they're going to do that to somebody? You know what that does to your life?
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awful.
And the system's just fucked. But you know what's cool, though? When you're in rehab, if your parole officers show up, I learned, first of all, everyone that's on parole is like jumping out the window and going out the back door, but you're fully under protection.
Really?
Yeah, the police aren't allowed to come. And when you're in rehab, they can't confirm or deny if you're there or not. It's against the law. It's like the Hippocratic Oath.
Sure.
And
it's a part of the system.
But they don't know that, dude. So a cop pulls up and like 4 dudes are out the window out the back door. Like, what just happened? What is going on? But it's crazy, dude. You get in there and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm basically here for Chris and my friends, not myself.
Right.
A week goes by. It starts to change a little bit. And I'm just like, who are these people? By the end of it, dude, I'm there for myself.
Yeah.
The people are like best fucking friends. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude, like what you go through. And the shit, like one of my friends from there and I were talking, just the effect they have on you that you don't even know what they're doing to you. Weeks later, months later, you're at your, I was telling you, I had that thing with my grandfather, but it's all from sitting and thinking about the process room and what was said in there, and it just jars thoughts.
It's cracking open like a way to heal childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Like
some of these therapists are like Yoda up in there, dude, just getting you, dude.
Because that's what they're there for. That's their job.
Good,
they're like,
dude.
Let's do this. Let's get through to these guys.
But not only do you have that, too, you also have a one-on-one. So you have a one-on-one, and then you have that 3 hours a day, which is pretty intense. That's like coming out of there just like fucking rubbing your head, just like, dude, what just happened to us? People are crying. You're crying because of what they went through. You're crying because of your own shit, and you're processing, dude. It's fucking crazy. And I think people need to kind of almost think about that. You can almost self-process, too. You got to kind of think about the shit that's gone on and try to, I don't know, like really think about shit that's happened. And it's so good to talk to people.
In psychedelic therapy, it's called integration.
Yeah.
And integration can take a very long time, right? Like, it can take a really long time to, like, really let it sink in, like, what you've just been through.
Yeah.
Like, this proof that you can do this thing, that there's another way of living your life. You can motivate yourself to get off this very strong train that you're on, right? Like that, and you can live another way. I think we could go to. There's a problem here, and it's a big one. We could talk about where you see yourself in 5 years, like what's happened in the next 5 years and this wonderful life that you're planning for yourself. Who have you interviewed? Who are you interviewing? How is the money thing going? How is the family? How is the dogs? But this tough piece in the middle, which is why everybody is here, is like, what happened when you got out?
That's what sucks. When I got in, man, Chris sent me this letter. I think he talked about in a PSA. Most loving letter I think I've ever got from anybody, dude. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, dude, when I get out, this is going to be fucking dope. He came to, like, family nights, because we go to AA at the thing. Like, you do all the thing around recovery at the place. We're going to AA, and then there's a family night. Chris would come. Mm-hmm. He came to my graduation and, like, cried because I said a cool thing about him, about how he saved my life. And, like, I hope you guys have him in your life. And the plan was to come out. At first, it was, like, to get right back into it. And then all of a sudden, he was just like, Mikey's got to do a couple more because he has, like, attachments or has agreements with some sponsors. And I was like, cool, whatever, dude. To be honest, I wasn't that worried about it. I've done 160 episodes. It's like, do whatever,
that
man.
makes sense, sure. Because they had to make other arrangements, and you're like,
whatever,
that makes sense.
Whatever.
That all makes sense.
Well, it just didn't matter, It's like some episodes, it doesn't really matter,
Right.
There's different things going in my head because, I'm at a place where, like, I mentioned how long I'd been drinking, and then drinking went to this. I'd been sober in fucking 30 years, dude. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
My head's in a different place. All of a sudden, I'm thinking clearer than I ever thought of my fucking life.
Yeah.
And it's like, and podcasting's dope, and it's something I want to do. And if there's a space for it, like, I wouldn't mind, like, setting up another night, right? And I could do this on the Discord if people are interested, talking to people about it. And if they have problems they want to tell, let's all talk about it. And people need help, let's talk about it. And, like, the people that I met in there and speakers that came in once a week, and my homie with the tattoos, they're willing to sit down and tell their stories of what they went through. And if that turns into another podcast, I'd be stoked on that because I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think people would follow you there too from this snowboard scene, snowboard life.
But it's different because they're not all snowboarders. But, like, my homie Jeff with the tattoos, like, the story you would hear from him are mind blowing, and then even some people you would never suspect the story they're about to tell you, just mind blowing, and you can learn from these stories. But then they're telling me, dude, I can get you, like, the biggest shot caller that's now, like, sober but ran the gang scene, and now he's sober, religious, and as a family, he'll come in and talk. And it's like, dude, I'd love to hear that guy's story.
That's big. Yeah, that's big.
And so if there's a space for that and people will listen, I'll start another night.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the boarding house
podcast
and not
studio.
You know what I mean? Like, it's maybe it can get bigger.
So to be clear
than
to the
Stonie's
listeners
Buds.
that came from snowboarding, you're gonna have guests on that are snowboard.
No
people.
Stonie's Buds only gonna be snowboarding.
Okay, but so you could do another.
If there's space and people are interested.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just start by doing some live streams and see if people get on another night.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And if people are interested, okay, let's do another night.
So
that's something totally different.
So we skipped over the tough part of the conversation.
Well, no, and let's get back.
Which I don't mean to get back to it.
Yeah.
What I mean to say is, like, if I could sum it up and then you could say I'm on or I'm off. I think that throughout the process of becoming very successful at podcasting with Chris, there was something that you knew in your heart that it wasn't a lifetime thing.
The bomb hole?
The bomb hole.
It's tough, man. It could have been, but maybe it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, Chris and I, so I get out. He picks up my wife and I graduated in the same day. It was awesome. Glorious day. I hadn't seen her in 45 days, the longest I'd gone without seeing my wife. It was insane.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you guys
calling her like a fucking
You guys have been married for 11? No, sorry.
We are about to have our 16th anniversary in like 10 days.
And 7 years before that was when you met.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys have been
longest
going
we
for
had
a
not been
very
apart.
fucking long time. Yeah.
And it's like, that was crazy. And to be away from the dogs. And so it's emotional time. And we're getting out. And Chris was just like, he was actually going to help me. Or he did help me for like a week. Kind of like I'm the check-in Like, let me know what you're doing. You wake up, like, let's go. You got to start doing stuff. Like, go to the park, do this and that. Let's reintegrate.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the focus instead of jumping back into work. Mm-hmm. And then he was doing it, but it was getting intense, dude. He was like, wanted me to go to the dog park, and then he'd freak out if I was late to go to the dog park. And I'm just like, dog, this is getting a little ridiculous. Right. But and we talked about it. It was cool.
I think it was kind of an exacerbated version of what you guys had already been experiencing at the bomb
And you know
hole.
what? There's a lot of hurtful feelings that Chris had, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, let's be honest. Like, it's hurtful, and he's dealt with it with his family. It's like, boom, moved into this.
It's a trust issue.
And friends.
It's a trust issue.
How does he ever get back?
Right. How does he get back?
I lied about this big-ass thing. How does he get back?
Right. And so then, you know.
And it's in my opinion. I can't speak for him.
Right, of course. Well, the same thing happens for me when I get here. So I thought I was coming into a place that was different than what it was. And recovering addicts look an awful lot like fucking addicts. So,
and that's like, and we can talk about that. It's tough. You get out, dude. And I don't know if they don't prepare you for this at the rehab, and they should more. Yeah. And what's kind of cool, I should mention about rehab, that 18-year-old girl watching you, she's been through rehab.
Oh, shit.
Everyone there, except for like one person. Everyone they hire's been through it.
Damn.
The chick teaching you yoga, she's been through it.
Fuck.
It's nuts. And so I'd actually say one of the therapists been through it and got so stoked they became a therapist. So they're like the only ones who haven't been through it.
Yeah.
And so when they're giving you, it's cool because you're like, this is one of us right here.
Trust these motherfuckers.
And they treat you cool. And no one's side-eyeing you, thinking you're freaking doing something sketchy because they've all been through it.
So what they don't tell you is that you're going to get out.
You got a rehab?
Everybody's going to be side-eyeing
Everybody, dude.
Yeah.
They might have been your best friend.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's just really fucking, everything you're doing is something sketchy. And imagine if you're a kid. And you're maybe, I don't know, 25 years old and you just get out of rehab, you've lost your home and shit. Maybe you're homeless and you're getting put back in with your family. They're gonna treat you like you're a fucking criminal.
Totally.
And maybe you are.
You are in that in the laws that we have. Right.
But maybe the only law they broke was doing drugs.
Right.
But now you're a straight up criminal.
Right.
And they tell you a bit like there's a whole equation of like time plus good acts equal trust. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to deal with that because time's the only thing that's going to heal it with you, like, coming through on what you say. Mm-hmm. And it was Chris and I ended up having a meeting like 5 days after rehab. And, you know, we talked about the future. And I thought we actually had a great meeting. We hugged after and said, meeting should be like this. He needed me to sign some document. And it said, like, he could... And it was for his protection, a document for his protection because of what he went through. At the end of the day, I signed it because it is what it is. I needed him to feel safe. Mm-hmm. And it said he could, like, drug test me anytime. And, right, whatever. If that's what you need, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And he went on a snowboard trip, came back, and fired me over the phone. And in my opinion, you know, it's like I can see all his sides. And I had nothing but love for him. I was never mad at him. I was hurt because I thought we had something special that was going to last forever. But I understand, dude. I get it.
Yeah.
No animosity. I want success for him.
Sorry to cut off or try and cut off in this. I think the question that every reasonable person or many reasonable people would have is, was there any reason?
That's the first question, even T-Bird. Oh, so you relapsed?
I'm not saying so you relapsed.
No, but that's the big question. You must have relapsed. Dude, there was
in your heart of hearts and in your most honest with yourself and with the listeners who are
there was no relapse. And listen, Chris.
Okay.
Chris knew that. And he could have, I signed that document, he could have done the drug testing and then, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like he went away on this trip and just, it was too much for him to handle. all of it come together. And I think it affected his writing on that trip, in my opinion. It just his head, dude, everything. And it was too much. And I get it, dude. It's like.
He's been through it before.
Yeah.
He's been through it before.
And, I looked at it as dude, getting fired, like, that's weird with a partner. I was kind of bummed. We should have maybe just talked about it and separated.
Yes.
There's different ways to go. He didn't know what to do, in my opinion.
He didn't know what to do.
And I don't blame him, dude. There's probably no good way to look at it.
There's no right way to do it. And I'm not apologizing for him. I just see it from.
Well, I don't think he doesn't even. From a neutral, he doesn't have to give an apology.
From a neutral standpoint, it really does seem like you were both in really difficult situations.
Yeah, we're in, and we could have just handled it differently, I guess, for each other. And it is what it is. It happened, and it would have been cool if certain things went a different way. And then after I was let go, things started. I started hearing I was like too strung out to work, and this was after I got back. It was like, dude, that never happened. Like, and I don't know where it came from. I have no clue. Yeah. But whatever. It's like. Things had to look a certain way, and I don't know where it came from. It could have been anyone who's sick because he's an addict, whatever. And so you learn in the rehab, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And eventually, whatever happens, you got to make the light side of it and the right side of it. Yeah. And here I am, being able to do this on my way. Yeah, yeah. And that's probably what was meant to be,
Yeah. Let's give some shout outs to a very special addict and past guest of the show, one of the original pro snowboarders. He was Jamie Salter's very first sponsored snowboarder, George Pappas.
Oh, damn.
He has reached out to the show and has said that he would love to talk to you directly. He runs
that would be sick.
He runs an outpatient home.
Oh, really?
He runs like when you get out of rehab
in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy who runs my place.
Yep.
Dude, he has it turns into this thing because he has his operation with 2 mansions basically.
Yep.
And then down the hill you go to his next phase, which is the outpatient.
There you go.
Because some people, their wives kicked them out.
Business is
booming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a great business because it feels good. But you might come out and you're coming out of jail. Your wife kicked you out. You don't have a home.
Yes.
So it's your next thing is just does he have one where you can live at? Or
yes.
is it, yeah, so you can live there.
And right now, guess what? It's empty because he's fucking exhausted.
You know what I mean? He's so tired.
He's not taking new people right now because he's exhausted, taking a break. And also he's going to the World Championships of downhill slalom skateboarding.
Wow.
In Salem coming up. 57. He's
damn, dude, he must have some amazing knees.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's racing against kids that are barely 20 or something.
Really?
Yeah. He's ripping. He's ripping.
Get him on here to talk.
Oh yeah, you definitely need him out here.
He's in Colorado, right?
He's in Colorado.
Yeah, sick, dude.
And he wants me to give you his phone number.
Dope. I would love that.
And I think that's super sick. I also was gonna say, I'm really glad to know you first and foremost.
You too. And I was stoked all of a sudden I got out. And there you were, It was cool.
Well, the support is unconditional. I think that was something that was really important for me to wrap my own head around because when I got here, I thought, okay, I'm making some assumptions here, and I think I need to get the fuck out of here. I don't think I can help.
Yeah.
I didn't think this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was scared as fuck. And so George said today, and it really affected me, just this thing about how things don't happen to you, what you said.
Oh, yeah?
He gave my example I always use on the show is someone cuts me off in traffic, right? Because that to me flares me up in such a specific way. Like,
some people get
asshole.
so upset. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm one of those guys that gets so upset.
Yeah.
But from a neutral standpoint, that guy didn't cut me off. That guy changed lanes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't trying out to get you.
He's not an asshole.
Well, and it's funny.
He could be someone who just didn't check his blind spot,
yeah, and he's trying to, yeah, exactly,
or who had his signal on and tried to get in. You know what I mean? He could be trying to get to a hospital. It could be a woman that's trying to get home. When
someone's
to make dinner,
always
whatever.
trying to like make it about them, it's taking a victim stance.
Correct.
And that's another thing you're not supposed to do.
You're not supposed to do it. And I applaud you in this interview that you weren't going that direction ever, because I think I could say from spending this time with you that the rehab has helped.
Yeah, dude, it's
helped.
It's crazy. They're doing awesome fucking work, dude.
They're doing awesome work.
It's nuts.
And
like, dude, I got yoga mats at the house here, dude. You know what I mean?
Have yoga mats.
It's like I used to hate thinking yoga was some whack shit. And then these fools, I remember the first day of yoga in there, the first week. It's like, what is? I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I have this snowboard body, dude. Look how freaking stumpy I am, dude. My freaking legs aren't doing that. Yeah. And I remember when I graduated, chick's like, you are good at yoga. Keep doing yoga.
Oh,
it's
good.
Like,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
But it just makes you feel so good.
So what's the rough plan right now? Like, what's your schedule look like around recovery? Like, are you attending
dude, you know what's
meetings,
cool? Yeah, we go to meetings, dude.
Yeah.
We the big thing for me is staying in touch with the people I was in the thing with at rehab.
Yeah.
And it's like one of them texted me yesterday, like, so-and-so, my sister heard you're doing a new podcast. And it's like, they had no clue. You know what I mean? It's like crazy shit like that. And it's like, all of a sudden, like, I have, in my life, in the past minute, since high school, dude, I haven't made friends that weren't snowboarders.
Right.
Like, it's kind of weird to think about.
Yeah.
And it almost is like, am I only friends with snowboarders? And all of a sudden, I got like 20 friends
that aren't
snowboarders, dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all make that pact, like, dude, you're going to do something stupid. Here's my number, you know, and like call each other. And I've gotten calls from them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this really cool thing, dude. I've been wanting to get back out and play volleyball, but I told you I got a little plantar fasciitis, but I think I'm at the tail end of that, dude. And I want to go back up to Wasatch and play some volleyball with the crew.
Have you ever?
Because a lot of them actually live at that inpatient spot.
Oh, sick.
Because they don't have spots to live anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
They lose some shit.
Yeah.
Right. Their house or their job or their living.
Dude. It's sick.
So have you ever had to call anyone?
Dude, what's cool is I got the wife, and I got her sister. And what's funny, dude, is the amount of people.
Shout out Becky. She's rad.
Becky. Yeah. Dude, everyone who was in that intervention room, plus Becky, and a lot of people, so many people are like, you know what? People go through this, they have no one to talk to.
Right.
I want you to know I'm here.
Yes.
I have like 25, 30 people to talk to, and some of them are like on the internet.
Yep.
And are just homies that are through the podcast world. And it sucks for those people that don't have anyone to talk to, but maybe they met in there. But it's so cool to know how many people have just said unconditionally. Like LeBlanc still hits me up all the time. How you doing? What's going on?
Good.
And it's just such
excellent.
Random people. Kevin Jones just reaching out of nowhere. Russell Winfield out of nowhere.
KJ.
Just people. They've had people that have gone through it, or they've gone through it, and they want to just offer that up because it's a very important thing to have that person to talk to.
Hell yeah.
And you know, it's needed. And trying to stay up like with that community is important too, you know? And it's crazy, dude, because I met a couple of the people that I'll probably be lifelong friends with, dude. It's like, it's really, really cool because I'm excited to have other people hear some of the stories they've told me because it's impactful stuff, dude. It's crazy.
Let's do the golden question. 5 years from now, where's Ethan? Where's Ethan and Angie? Where are you guys at?
Where the wind blows, dog. No, dude. If it was up to me, I'd be like cruising around Europe or something.
Okay.
But that's a tough one with the dogs and family and all that. So
sure. The
reality of it, man, I hope to be talking with people, podcasting, and doing this as long as I can. And I'd like to build it up so it's not just one night a week. There's more to it, you know. Community on Discord and helping people, and this is where I want to be, podcasting.
Yeah.
5 years, it's funny. You guys say that a young person is going to be like, 5 years. Dude, 5 years is like, chow.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
5 years.
So I don't even know, dude. It's 5 years is fast.
Yep.
Think of how fast the last year to me went past And I can't even believe the acorns are falling. I think I mentioned that yesterday. Like
right.
the dog's running around with his damn acorn setting traps for me again. And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's winter again.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
it's winter. It's
like summer.
Movie
like
premieres are happening.
It's crazy, dude.
Insane.
So 5 of those, and the older you get, the quicker it goes by.
Yep.
You know, I just want to keep mastering the craft and get better and better and better, and you know, hopefully help people. And that's why I say, dude, anyone that wants to talk, because you gotta have people that you can't. If you come out to them, they might treat you in a way that's not that cool.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about rehab. You get in there, and none of them treat you like that. You are not someone that did something bad.
Right.
And they are just there to help you. And having that support network and people to talk to is so important. And I'll talk to any one of you, man, and let you know, like, if there's a way to help or a way to line you up with a spot, like people who line me up with Wasatch, or I'll get you to Wasatch. There's help, and I guess people just need to realize that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's hard. It's not impossible like I thought it was.
Right.
The help is there, and I would love to talk anyone through any situation. Hit me up, man. I'm here, and I hope we can build this community around snowboarding and beyond. And I'm just excited to see what the future lies, because for the first time, I can look at it and not be living in the trap house and be in a situation where if I'm gonna go on a trip to fucking Europe, I have to, like, all of a sudden be worried that I might end up in a fucking prison somewhere or like my arm cut off in Turkey or something because I got caught with something.
Yeah.
Like, or the Russian fucking chipping rocks in Russia in the tundra somewhere. You know what I mean? That happens,
totally,
dude.
Man. That
That happens if you get caught with a joint.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's not happening, dude. That'll never happen again. And it's gonna be a process, dude. And the percentage of relapse is high, dude, and it's really scary. But if it happens, it happens, and I'm gonna be here talking about it.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm gonna go get the help.
Yeah, and you've done it. You've done it once, and that's the start, right?
Well, now I know how easy that is.
And it sounded
to
awesome.
go through the process.
Yeah.
Well, and another big thing is it's like type 2 fun. You know what I mean? It sounded awesome. When you're in it, you're like, fuck this. And you're talking with the dude that's there, and you get that, you're talking about it because I can't believe they're doing that. This sucks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, towards the end, you're like, oh, man, like, really? No one's going to cook me food anymore? I can't be like a 16-year-old kid anymore doing the dishes and not even having a cell phone?
Yeah.
Dude, when they told me they were taking away my computer and cell phone, dude, I'm just like, that, whatever, dude, I'm out.
Yeah, I can't do this.
And they leave the gate open, dude, for a reason at this place.
You can walk.
You want out, you're out, dude. You're taking up someone's bed. If you're not serious, there's someone who might die tonight because you're in that bed and they're not.
Right.
So if you're not serious, get out. And come back when you're ready.
Yeah, man.
And they leave that door open, and I've seen a lot of people leave, and you try to not let them leave.
Yeah.
You sit there and you're like, dude.
As a friend.
Don't leave. Or even like not a friend, dude. The guy, my roommate, ended up leaving day one.
Wow.
He was with me one night, and I just got to know him in that short time, and he needed to be there. He had like a head injury, and he was an alcoholic, and it's like, I think he left because of the head injury, really. And it's like, dude, like, don't go, man. And he ended up leaving. They sneak away, too. It sucks because they don't give you that chance to get him to stay.
If you're going to do a recovery podcast, you just might have said the title, Come Back When You're Ready.
Yeah, true, dude.
Right?
Because if you're not ready, and they'll tell you that, dude, they will be you're the staff there, dude. You're not ready. Get out, dude. Like, you're gonna be like taking up space and taking up everyone's time, or you're in prison or jail and you're only here because you're not. It keeps you out of there. Get out, dude, because you're not serious about it.
Right.
Or if they think you're that dude who could go to prison and you're like playing the system.
Yeah.
Because it's keeping you out of there. It's like, get the fuck out.
Get out. Yeah.
And they'll kick you out if you do certain things wrong. You know.
Yeah.
And, dude, they catch people with drugs in there. And that's another thing. Like, dude, you're in rehab and, there's walls around this place. And apparently they've seen people throw drugs over, you know?
Fuck.
And it's like, dude, you're in rehab, but it's the people that are in jail, it's rehab or jail, and it's like they're pretending because they're parole. They have to tell their parole officer that they're serious about it, and so they try to weed them out, and you can tell the ones that are serious because it's like you got to. And I think, dude, who was it? I want to say it was Jessica Mara. When she was talking about getting some help with some stuff she was working about in the bomb hole.
Yep.
One of her friends told her, like, if you're going to do it, go all in and do the program that they're laying out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's exactly it. When you're at rehab, don't fucking half-ass it and do this because you like this, but you're not going to do that.
Sure.
They want you to do yoga. Go do yoga.
Go do it.
They want you to go to the gym and do this. You're going to do that. They want you to process. You're going to speak. And it's like, be 100%. Because if you half-ass it, you're only getting half the help, you know? Mm-hmm. If you're in the corner sleeping when they're, like, the Buddha class is going on and you're supposed to be meditating and you're the dude snoring, it's like, you know, you're not doing it. Like, let's do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because the Buddha, because there's AA, right?
Yeah.
Every Sunday, we got to do the Buddhist version of AA.
Oh,
and it's dope, dude.
Yeah.
First, you meditate, and it's cool. These two guys come in, and it's like, they're not getting paid, dude. They just believe in this. And they went through Wasatch as well, and then they latched on to the Buddha version. I forget what it's called. It's called, like, Recovery Wellness. I'll put a link to, because it's really cool. You could actually... they have like a internet version of a Discord basically with the Buddha,
sick,
but they talk you through meditation, and then they read from their book and then talk about situations in life that, like, I don't know, just through recovery, and it's awesome. And then you go around the room and talk about how the reading affected you that they just read, and it's super cool that they come and do that every Wednesday. I can go there for life, or every Sunday. I can go there for life.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to hit up LeBlanc because he wants to go because he's been practicing in meditation for, like 20, 30 years.
Forever, yeah.
But it's like all of a sudden your eyes are getting open to all these new things that I didn't even think were possible. And the Buddhist recovery thing's crazy because, like, one of the things my therapist wanted me to do was, like, figure out how to forgive my father, let's say. And it's like all of a sudden you're going through this week and they assign something for you to do. And I went and talked. There's a life coach there, Todd. He's like the most amazing dude. He has a podcast. And I'm going to link his podcast because this dude, everyone there is almost like telling you all this negative stuff. You go see Todd and he is just like the bring you up dude. And,
sick.
And like just tell you this most amazing story. And my therapist was like, go ask Todd what it means to forgive, you know? And he told me this story that it took him 1 second to pull a book off the thing and talk about this girl that was abducted and was kept in a shack for, I want to say, 20 years.
Oh, shit.
Had a baby from the abductors.
Fuck.
And got out. She escaped, kept the baby. I think she was in there 10 years or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll link the story. She got out, had the baby, and the way he found out about her, he was watching the news when it happened, and she was on there, and the first thing she did was forgive the dude that abducted her. And he's like, that's forgiveness, you know?
That's crazy.
And it's like, and then you're at the Buddhist thing, and somehow the reading's about forgiveness. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude? And it happened every week, and I'm sure it's because the topics cross over.
Sure,
and all that.
synchronicities and stuff. You notice that stuff.
Yeah, but all of a sudden you're just picking up on it. It literally happened every week. It was crazy.
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, on behalf of fans of your work, and now there's a lot of work to be a fan of, your photos, which include covers and 2-page spreads and ads and everything.
Even little quarter-sized.
Even little guys, thumbnails. And then the podcast and what you brought to the bomb hole and the community and the funny videos and the surfing and the fucking banter, you know, how do you feel about this?
Dude, I'm fucking hyped.
Oh,
Am I supposed to say so good, my dog? I was going to say it, but you know what, dude? I was eating hot dog on a stick earlier, and I was saying so good, my dog.
Yeah.
I am on next level so good, my dog. I got a whole pack of dogs over here, dog.
That's it, man.
And I just can't wait to say that once a week.
Yeah, man.
And I want to keep the new show exciting, dude. I'm going to have some different rotating co-hosts. I'm going to do some just whatever I want.
Fun.
Keep it loose.
Yeah.
Keep it fun. Keep it informative. Talk about the culture. If people want to talk about their hard times with maybe recovery, because there's a lot of snowboarders that go through it, or they keep it down, you know. Like, it's crazy coming out and telling a story, but I've always wanted to, and just to be done with it, and hopefully help other people. And it's sick to be at that point, you know.
Love you, brother.
Word, love you. Thank you, dog.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Good night, and thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Dude.
Nice. That was long, bro.
That was so long.